Good evening, you godless sodomites. Hear these words and fear for your sin. For this is the Rusty Cage Show. I am your host, Rusty Cage, joined as always by my very loyal co-host, Mr. Emperor Lemon.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the Rusty Cage Show! We are live on this wonderful Wednesday evening. I'm your co-host, Emperor Lemon, the E in Rusty Cage, joined as always by the star of the show, Rusty Cage.
Rusty Spoon indeed. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Last episode kind of completely corrupted. We fell apart. I don't know if we should address our own failures. The fact that we had insane technical issues that caused the entire stream to fall apart. I was having so many dropped frames, and I'm still mad to this day. But I believe that the issue has been fixed, and it may have been as simple as getting a new Ethernet cable.
Maybe there's a rat here in Samir's offices that are gnawing the wires of our setup. But I'm sitting here today with a tear in my eye looking at green bars on the OBS display. We are green for the future.
It's actually a really good feeling. So if it really was the Ethernet cable, all right, I went out and I bought one of these stupid Cat 8 Ethernet cables. I don't know when they made
Category
Cat
8.
I thought there was only Cat 6. The last one I had was Cat 6, and it was about 25 feet long, and I think it was going through this door here and getting pinched by the door as it closed, which probably just was slowly destroying its integrity.
You know, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, it could have been very simple to have fixed that earlier. But I assume everything is solved now, and feels good to be back on the air without any technical issues as far as I know.
Yeah, hopefully I will not be receiving any more PTSD the rest of the day.
It doesn't fit over the headphones.
Well, anyway, before we get into the news to start the show off.
How is everyone doing in the audience? It's been not so long since the last time we streamed. I feel like we have kind of an inconsistent schedule so far. We streamed last Saturday and then the Monday before that. Now we're on a Wednesday. When are we actually going to be streaming this show? Should we wait until the news is already forgotten? I saw people on the Clips channel saying stuff like, oh, I wish they would talk about all the new events that happened, as though it doesn't take time from the point that it happens to the point that you upload a clip of it.
Well, you know, Rusty, we're still a small operation here at Cage Tech, so these things do take time, but I'm guessing the audience is used to these megalithic giant corporations like Hassan Piker and Asmongold, who stomp their foot down on the little guy. They have highly paid teams of dozens of workers constantly clipping, Chinese sweatshop level workers putting these clips on 3 to 4 minutes after they're recorded live. There's literally no delay, endless content, endless time.
What could possibly be going incorrect here? Dude.
It looks like that was just a little blip on the radar.
Was that an error? So instantly I already saw an error watching this live stream. Are we still here, guys? Are we still here? Are we still live? We can't keep doing this. I have to eventually pay someone else to set up this entire stream. To do all the clipping as well.
Yes, of course. But those of you in the chat here with us, let us know what day of the week, because Rusty and I have been discussing this. He thinks that weekends are good, but I'm going by like TV logic, where a lot of TV shows like to aim themselves for prime time during the week. So I don't know. Let us know which day you would want.
If we were to do this, time though, prime time's like 7 p.m., isn't it?
It's like 7 to 10 p.m.
And if
Eastern
we're going
time.
for 3 hours, you know, I assume a lot of our audience are unemployed, so they should be able to stay up till 12 every single night of the week. However, it might be good to go through the analytics, figure out the exact best time that we should stream. That'll be best for everyone.
Yeah.
I like Friday nights.
Fridays could be good. I was thinking Monday, because at least this year so far, there's been a lot of eventful stuff going on the weekends. So it can crash the stocks on Monday specifically.
Oh, yeah.
And
okay.
Typically one of the worst, least popular days of the week. And that could be something we could potentially uplift the Rusty Cage Nation out there.
Yeah, so I mean, yes, do Sunday, but if everything happens over the weekend, then on Monday, will we have the full story? Will we have time to edit in the show notes? Or then should we do it on Tuesday? And so Wednesday now, should we just do it every single day?
These news events, it's just like a constant conveyor belt. I don't know if the specific day actually matters. It seems like a lot of people are mentioning Fridays, but we'll review after this and we'll see. Maybe either put a poll out on like a community post, or Rusty can tweet out a poll of what the people would kind of want in terms of us picking a day to make this potentially a weekly or bi-weekly show.
How do I do that?
Click the plus sign and then start a poll. I think it only lets you do 4 options, so...
Fuck. All right,
start off with weekend or weekday. How about that?
Okay. So I'm making this poll now, the weekend.
Because I think the traditional logic is that people are out and about during the weekend. Sometimes people go on like day trips, they go traveling, they go to some other city, and they're not around. They usually have events scheduled during prime time, and they're not like sitting at home in their room catatonically checking their phone. So therefore, we have to appeal to the wagey spirit, giving the wagies of the world just a brief reprieve during the weekday. That's at least my...
Let's just go Sundays for fun. All right, this is probably a confusing poll, fucking whatever.
This is a terrible poll, Rusty. You have weekend and Sunday, which is included in the weekend.
No, Sunday is the beginning of the week. The weekend is only... So Monday to Wednesday... Okay, listen, I know. I tend to convolute every single thing that I work on because it's all just a massive logistical issue in my head. I mean, there's only 4 options. If you have the weekend, that could mean Sunday, but that also could potentially mean Friday and Saturday, because people tend to think of Friday as the weekend. And Friday and Saturday are specifically different because you don't have to wake up the next day and go to work. So then Sunday has to be an option. See, I just fall apart. I don't know.
You're still pretty new to the... We haven't done that many of these polls yet, but it seems like there's a lot of groundswell from Monday to Wednesday. So we'll have to see. We'll see how that poll turns out. Let's move on here. Rusty, do we have any personal news to share before we get into the national and international news on this episode of the Rusty Cage Show?
I don't think so. I'm trying to... Did I say something that I forgot?
Well, last time you said your friend died.
Yeah, well, he's still dead.
He's still dead. He has not been reanimated as some kind of zombie creature.
Yeah, so fella is still dead. The bird is still buried in the backyard. Jim Crow, of course. The fans who are normal listeners of the show will know who Jim Crow is and M's love for it. His PTSD from this project. No, I think everything's been relatively good. I'm still kind of suffering from a little bit of a respiratory infection, possibly bird flu. It's been a week, or about a week, so it should be going away. I guess it's going to get worse because COVID's breaking out alongside the avian flu. I haven't really looked at the updates because I stopped looking at COVID updates in 2020, but apparently it's back.
I heard from one news source that there's a quadruple threat right now.
Okay.
Flu, avian flu, COVID, and some other godforsaken thing. Well, Rusty, in terms of my personal events, I've been doing a lot of January cleaning around my home. A lot of stuff breaking down. The cold weather, the dastardly cold that has come down to the state of Florida during the past week. Ungodly amounts of cold. It's seemingly testing the appliances in my house. So in the past week, I've had to get my my plumbing pumped because there's some kind of grease blockage. All my vegan food seems to be producing
what's this a euphemism for?
There's no euphemism, Rusty.
Oh, okay.
My literal kitchen pipes got clogged with grease, so we had to get a plumber to come by.
Hey, what the fuck are you pouring your grease down your sink?
It builds up over time. What am I supposed to do? Wash the dishes and not get the grease in the sink?
You're supposed to drain the grease into either a jar or a disposable can, dump it outside directly into the ground where it belongs.
Rusty, I'm too busy making these YouTube videos. I'm too busy making these slideshows for the show that the folks are watching right at home. I don't have time to properly dispose of my grease.
I don't know where to properly dispose of grease. I just want to find a restaurant and collect a bunch of it and dump buckets into their grease trap.
So anyway, that was a couple $100, and then I had to get my septic pumped because since I moved into the new place a couple years ago, I had no idea what the level was at.
You had to get your ass sucked, essentially.
No, although it did smell like ass while the valve was open.
Okay.
And then
how far away is it from your house?
It's like right in the fenced area, in the right next to the back patio.
Guys, if you don't know, owning a home kind of sucks because you forget about a lot of very important things.
Something breaks literally every week.
Yes, and I also have a note that is on a table out there that says, get septic drained, because you're supposed to do it like every 2 years or something. I don't know how long it's been since
I heard it was 7 years.
7 years? It depends on the size of the tank.
But it's like freaking roulette because when I moved in, I didn't know the last time the previous owners had it pumped.
Okay.
And if you don't get your septic pumped, what happens is that a bunch of raw sewage and poop water starts backing up and coming out of your drains in every room in your house. So it's typically not something you want to screw around with. So
wait, that's been happening?
That has not been happening, but the fear of that happening led me to say, okay, you know what, we're calling the plumber this week. Now is probably a good time to get the septic pumped also, now that we're getting all this done. So that was another couple $100. Additionally, I got a giant oak tree cut down and removed due to my fear and paranoia of it falling in another one of these godforsaken hurricanes that continue to ravage us as they have over the past couple years.
Yeah, I still need to get this one last tree cut down. I mean, most of them fell already, but obviously I share your sentiment about falling trees. In the past 2 years, 5 trees, including 3 oaks, have fallen, and in 3 instances, narrowly missed the structure that we're currently in.
So for more information on that, you can check out Rusty's Guillotine series.
So you got a big ass tree cut down.
Yeah, so that was thousands of dollars because it's a tough job.
How much was it? Or you don't have to say.
It was over $3,000.
It's expensive. It makes me want to actually learn how to climb up the trees myself. Maybe get a cherry picker and single-handedly try to work without any friend supervision as I cut limbs off of a tree with 0 experience.
Yeah, I gotta say, you know, it's sad to see the tree go. It's like this thing probably took 40 or 50 years to become like this big, majestic, mature oak. And
because these are water oaks.
It's just completely gone, yeah.
The water oaks are the ones that are local to Florida, or at least not the only ones, but in this area, they're water oaks. So when people think of oak trees, they're thinking 600 years old, 1,000 years old. These have been around since the beginning of time. They're so wise. They're like the Deku tree.
Deku tree.
Deku tree. And no, these water oaks are like quick growing tall shrubs that only live to be about 100 years, and then they fall over and they're heavy as shit.
Well, you know what inspired me to get this cut down was that during the hurricane, there was another giant tree in my yard that looked exactly like that one, and it completely fell over. And it toppled into another tree that was also just as big and like completely obliterated the neighbor's shed.
Uh-huh.
And I thought to myself, like, there was nothing to me looking at the tree to suggest that it was dead or dying and like, oh, it's just going to fall any second now. It just happened.
Yeah.
And this other one that was like even closer to my house, and if it had fallen, in the same direction that the farther tree fell, it would have completely obliterated my entire patio.
I don't know if I even mentioned on the show, but in the last hurricane season, it was pretty rough. One of these giant trees that I was expecting to fall fell the opposite direction, and it crushed my neighbor's house.
Yeah.
They weren't in it, but it was a weird feeling because it's during the midst of the hurricane. I hear this crack, this giant thud. It's still, pouring and windy outside. I go out there like an idiot just to film and look around, and I see that their roof is completely smashed. And it was a sigh of relief came across my head. Thank God them and not me.
Yeah, well, I'm feeling more relieved now that the job's done, so hopefully this hurricane season I won't have to be as stressed out and getting PTSD from these 3-ton trees. It's like a bomb dropping on your house almost. But that's the news. I've spent thousands of dollars on various house maintenance and repairs. All you renties out there talking about, oh, we can't afford a house anymore because the economy is shit. You might just be saving yourself from a lot of hassle, so you never know. Count your blessings once in a while.
I don't even know anymore. It's so hard to tell if it's worth... In my personal opinion, it is always worth owning a house if you have the option to, just because you can eventually move farther away from financial enslavement to someone else, even though you still always have to pay property tax even after you pay off your fucking 15 to 30-year mortgage at whatever insane interest rate you have. Well, should we get to the news?
Let's get to the news, folks. It's been an eventful time. It's always eventful. I don't even know why I bother saying that. It's always eventful. There are events transpiring, but...
Yes, there has.
The last time we left you here on the Rusty Cage Show, we had a different president. And fellas, the time has come again. Can you believe it? It still feels surreal.
I thought we were already post-inauguration. No, we weren't, were we?
No. The last episode during the TikTok ban, that was during Biden's last or second to last day in office, I believe. So this is the first Rusty Cage Show during the Trump administration. And Rusty, how have you been experiencing the new era in America? Some people are calling it America's new Gilded Age. Is the gold transpiring to your life in any way?
I will say, honestly, having studied the Gilded Age quite a bit, that yes, this is the new Gilded Age, but not in the good way that I think you were trying to imply.
It's not a very euphemistic thing if you actually study the history of that era.
No. What happened in the Gilded Age was these robber barons, these industry giants like the Carnegies and the Rockefellers figured out that they can buy politicians and that they could give politicians money in order to get things that would benefit them in the end. And it essentially created this industry, or the United States that we know today, completely corrupted by lobbyists and big industry. And it has not really changed, but this, I don't feel as hopeful as I did 2 weeks ago. A lot has happened with this administration.
The honeymoon phase is over.
Yes. And now you see the promises starting to fade away. Everything to get elected. Where's Vivek Ramaswamy? We'll talk about it, but he's no longer in the Department of Government Efficiency.
Where's the MLK and JFK files?
Well, we're still waiting on those. Still waiting on the
Epstein
Diddy
list.
files.
I guess they're taking their time with that.
Yeah.
But, Rusty, do you feel like this man in this picture, this wonderful piece of political art?
4 more years of looking at my phone every morning to see if he's dead yet. You know, this is another thing that's popped up where every time it feels like people are finally breaking out of the binary, like the CIA fucking binary, where you have to either be against conservatives or against the liberals. It seems like we're getting away with it, or we're getting away from that. But then something just happens and everyone's sentiments revert back to the easily controllable 2-party system where all the bad things that happen in your life only happen because of the opposition party. And so do I feel like this person? No, but I hate this person. I hate his stupid balloons. It looks fucking fake. I can't tell what's real anymore. Is this AI? Is that Photoshop?
No, I'm sure this guy's been around for a while. I thought he was going to be gone, but
back.
We're like stuck in an infinite time warp. Rusty, when I turned 18 years old, I was so excited for the future, and that was the year Trump got elected. It is now 7 years since then.
Mm-hmm.
No, wait, no, 2016. It's 9 years since then. And Trump is the president again.
Yes.
And this guy is still making viral posts of his stupid balloon. No, this guy's very talented. You see, he's the Banksy of our time. Can't you tell?
Dude, this is not fucking real. There's no way that this image is real. This looks...
You think he stopped making the balloons and just plugged in all his stuff into an AI bot and it just spits out something new every day?
Is this a guy who makes balloons? I don't get it.
Yeah, he either like has a bunch of lettered balloons or he manufactures them himself, and he spells out little deep, insightful messages on some public wall.
He's like the Ben and Jerry's of balloons. He just agrees with the sentiment of young, radical, politically ignorant people on TikTok, posts a picture and then sells balloons. He's a capitalist. He's all right. I mean, I'm not really sure though about Trump's whole thing of putting all these people into power that seem to be very against the regulations on the use of chemicals and anti-environmental things. Like, I'm kind of for the environment. I know that can fuck shit up. That can cause issues like the LA fires, but you probably don't want any more East Palestines.
Yeah.
And I have to wait to see what's going on with that. But it seems like Trump might be doing the opposite of draining the swamp and instead making it potentially way, way worse. At least my worst fear.
Well,
this
Rusty,
is what you get for sleeping for a little bit.
He is back. I don't know if my controls work right here.
Go ahead and try it again.
He is back, everyone. It's still hard to believe, but how did the Democrats fuck this up this badly? They put him back in power.
Well, I mean, I think both sides did. The right definitely did because they gave up. I think the entire industry thought that they had everything on a lockdown. As long as they can put a handsome Republican who's against abortion up against a woman or a black woman or some gay liberal guy running on the Democrat side who is for the legalization of marijuana, as long as they disagreed on 3 key issues that are easily digestible and understandable by the average citizen, then they could keep this gambit going forever. And when Trump first came in, he was an outsider altogether. The right hated him, the left hated him. He just ran as a Republican.
The first time Trump got elected, there was huge institutional power against him, and he really was a real outsider then. And once he actually got elected, the entire Republican Party basically had to fall in line, while the Democrats were completely pissed. They had like the most hostile reaction to any Republican candidate in modern history. Like, every single late night talk show became completely unwatchable.
It exposed the government for what it is. It exposed it for being absolutely for this company that is like the American whatever government, whether it's right or left, they all work for the same people. I know this is cliche things to say, but you saw, the RNC and the DNC both turning against Trump. As he said, he's going to drain the swamp, and he's having the same promise now with putting people into power and trying to oust the old people. I don't think it's going as swimmingly as possible, but yeah, it at least showed the American people that there is another choice, that you can kind of come out of the blue and sweep up popularity.
Yeah, Trump was almost like a third-party candidate, because for most of the election cycle in 2016, most of the Republicans wanted nothing to do with him. The Republican institutions, they were trying to probably get Jeb Bush to be the nominee that year, so the Bush dynasty of power could continue.
They had Ted Cruz, and Ted Cruz is a great actor. He's really good at pretending like he's fighting for the little man, but he's also really good at going on vacation whenever his entire state is suffering from huge infrastructure issues that are allowing a lot of people to die, in the same way that, what's her name, Kate Bush? Not Kate Bush. the fucking L.A.
Karen Bass.
Karen Bass. I'm going to blame it on Kate Bush. But same way Karen Bass is out of the country during these times, it showed them to be weak pussy actors, the right, and then it also showed the extreme power on the left. And of course, being right in the middle and not having... being a fence sitter is the best way to be.
Oh, yeah, of course. Having no real opinions or stances on anything. That's truly the way to get ahead in these modern politically charged times. But anyway, he's back. He's back in the office, and he got busy this week. We will get into that.
Certainly did.
But first, I think this image from the inauguration really reflects the national reaction to Trump's second term at this point.
God damn, I hate seeing it. Well, I wonder what Barron thinks about Elon Musk.
Barron?
This cringy, creepy uncle that sits behind you, or right next to him, I can't really tell.
After 4 years, Barron is going to look like this.
He already does look like that.
He's already starting. He just needs the helmet. This is going to be Barron Trump by 2028. He's like, oh, God, this guy... This is him realizing... This guy's going to be around for the next 4 years. He's going to constantly be in my life. Oh, my God.
I don't know. I mean, I'm really interested to see how this plays out because it gets to a point where you realize you might have lost any hope in actual change happening, and then you start seeing... Again, I don't like Elon Musk anymore. I had no problem with him before. Whatever, let him do his business thing. Let him do his weird tricks to gain more... stock ownership over the companies that he oversees, but seeing someone giddily jump around and clapping about how excited they are about this new president, that's not something they should do. That just means that he's excited that there's no more regulation that's going to stop him from making a lot of money.
This photo is a classic case of role reversal. You got the goofball idiot the character would be more befitting of an 18-year-old, and the 18-year-old is just the stoic, well put together person who's just taking everything in stride.
Barron's great. Barron's great because he's got the weirdest position. He's almost like a prince that is being curated to become the king. I imagine he probably will become the president.
He's definitely going to run for president sometime in the next 40 years, probably.
Yeah. Probably none of the other Trump children. They're all kind of fuck-ups and weird cokeheads. They're too loud and obnoxious. I don't know about Eric, but like Donald Trump Jr., if you ever hear him talk,
these are like children of wealth.
Yes.
New money, almost.
Yes.
But Barron Trump has an old money character. He's gonna usher in the real Gilded Age when that happens. But
someone
anyway,
was saying he was going to be the last president. I don't know who that was.
Oh yeah, before America is officially ushered into fascistic dictatorship.
Or probably.
Or
AI takes
People
over.
are saying he already looks like Patrick Bateman. It could just be one of these days where he takes the axe to Elon when he's sitting on the White House couch, just like Paul Allen.
Where does he go to school?
I'm sure it's some very cushy...
It's like Ivy League.
Private boardings, and he's probably going to go to some Ivy League academy. I don't know.
And when he does, he's going to kill someone. That's just like a rite of passage. You have to feel what it feels like to be God.
Dick Cheney on a hunting trip.
Yeah, but Dick Cheney's killed probably so many people when he was in college.
Oh yeah, probably.
Just to know what it feels like. You don't get into these positions of power without knowing how to be completely embarrassed. You have to have footage on you that they can use against you, and then also to know what extreme strength and psychopathy feels like. So now you're numb to these fearful little things like pain or empathy.
Well, Elon, this was not the most embarrassing thing he did during the inauguration cycle. Guys, I think Elon might be a secret Nazi.
Do we have the video?
Can you believe it? It is linked.
Okay, yeah, I want to see the video of this because this was one thing where, first off, Elon was rolling during this inauguration. There was at least one clip where it shows him and his eyes are... He's like looking up. It looks like he's tripping. I know how these tech billionaires like to microdose MDMA and DMT and shit. So he was probably fucking high out of his mind, and he realizes he's one of the richest people in the world. There's no way this was just an awkward hand gesture, which is what every single right-wing pundit has been saying. It's just an awkward hand gesture. Who awkwardly does something that they can obviously tell? I don't think he did it to prove that he's a Nazi, but I think he did it because he was fucked up and probably thought that this would just be something that would cause controversy, and he gets off on the attention of the shit. But I could be wrong.
It's so ridiculous. Like, this guy is supposed to be...
Let me pause this. Thank you. Wait, go back. I gotta hear it as well.
You know, Rusty, people are saying it's just a Roman salute. He's going back to the days of Rome.
That's right. Having sex with children and clipping your coins down until your currency is completely devalued.
Ugh. What a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, this is supposed to be our generation's Rockefeller. Our generation's J.P. Morgan. All you have to do, we already let the American people worm your way into government so you can make policy decisions that further your own economic interests. Fine, whatever. This has just been capitalism in America for 250 years. But why does he have to be such a dork?
This is like the clip down one. It doesn't show him doing it over and over, and he didn't say like, my heart goes out to you. I just don't believe that. I don't believe that this was just some unintentional awkwardness. That seems like the biggest fucking con of the richest person in the world. Like, oh, I'm just a weird little guy. I don't really understand social cues. Was that a bad thing I did? You don't know that shit. You're not functioning on a high level. You can't think through your actions seconds before. You just accidentally do something that clearly looks very suspect. And I wonder why he did it. I have no idea, but it's obvious that he did it fucking intentionally.
Your net worth is $500 billion, and you're acting like a kid who's had too much sour candy.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
And God. You brought up Rockefeller. Rockefeller did the same thing where he would just kind of make himself seem like this sad old man who was deeply religious, and he's like, I didn't even mean to make all this money because I have this deep religious faith that protects me from being evil. I don't know why everyone thinks I'm so bad and evil. Meanwhile, he's doing all this crazy shit, like taking over every single company, pushing people out, probably killing them as well. It's a lie. If anyone's this rich, they have to have killed someone, and they have to have done very bad things knowingly.
I mean...
And maybe I'm a stupid fucking socialist commie or whatever for saying that, but I believe it.
I just think he's a goofball.
He's just a goofball?
He doesn't have control of his hands and emotions. Like, he's a toddler. I don't understand. Maybe it's... God, all he has to do is just shut up and, like, be this seething, calculating figure.
Yeah, but he loves the attention.
He would be so much more respected. Why do you have to go out and try to get Reddit gold every day in the public spotlight? It doesn't make any sense. Just be stoic and sadistic and calculating like the fucking Patrick Bateman of Tesla.
Yeah, be more like Carnegie. Don't put your sins out there. Don't expose yourself too much and get too excited about being a celebrity, being on Twitter all the time, even though it's probably not him, it's someone else.
Dude, responding to like freaking Ian Miles Chong, random people with freaking blue checkmark being like, Elon, I drew this picture of you and put it on my fridge.
That's the cringiest shit.
I made this Grok AI picture of you putting a Dogecoin into the White House. Oh my God.
Do we have the, what else did Elon do? Do we have the thing about the gamer? Who called him out?
Oh, where people are accusing him of like paying someone to like bot his account in some... I don't even know what game it is. It's one of these games you have to grind for 999 hours to become the very best and max out your character and stats.
Yeah, the chat. What was the game that Elon was playing? Because I saw the footage of it, and whenever the people were calling him out, they were saying anyone who would be this powerful in the game, who they would have had to play thousands and thousands of hours. So someone saying Asmongold called it out. I think I saw someone else calling him out. But he would have had to play so much, but the way he was playing was, I don't know, novice. Maybe he wasn't giving a fuck. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't speak on this because I'm not sure. If you're really good at a game, you don't necessarily have to pick up all the best high value items. You can get away with just speed running through.
Whatever. That's just it's just more like fucking Reddit farming.
But he took away his verification because of that.
Oh, Asmongold's?
I don't know if it was Asmongold.
Whoever called him. Whatever.
Yeah. Too many things to focus on.
Why can't you just be evil? You can even be good. But no, you have to do all this like weird stuff to make everyone question. It's like, are you doing okay, dude? Anyway, let's move on to the Trump administration's first order of business.
National deportation. So he signed a lot of things.
Executive action.
Executive actions, as I would call it if I knew the name. And one of them, I guess, is the mass deportation. Should we keep going through these slides?
Trump is sitting here eating his taco bowl as all your Mexican amigos are getting kicked to the curb. Can you believe it? There's actually a link there in the above slide. Now, so this is an alleged photo of the border. Mexicans trying to escape. And this is an alleged video of a Walmart in California after the supposed ICE raids and mass deportations took place.
So what were they saying? That they were housing all these immigrants in Walmart?
No, the implication is that some of these towns in California and these other sanctuary cities, they had so many Mexicans that once the ICE raids came in and deported all the illegals, that the Walmarts are literally empty. Now, I personally think this video is fake. It's just like some, because like you're telling me there's 0 other people in the Walmart.
It's only
like
illegal immigrants.
You were in a town of 99.9% illegal immigrants.
Right.
This is probably someone they're like opening up the store, and it's like someone else's video of Walmart.
It's funny. I mean, these things spread 14 fucking million views. Well, as long as people believe it, then it doesn't matter if it's real or not. Yeah, I mean, I love this argument that's happening with the deportation about who's gonna pick your food. The prices of all our produce is gonna go up because now cheap labor is being deported. Well, yeah, that is an effect, but isn't that kind of a necessary aspect of not allowing illegal immigration to do illegally low-paying wage jobs?
Well, that's something we have here in Florida.
Yes.
And Florida does not seem to be one of the states targeted because in the past 4 years, especially ever since COVID, Florida's become a very red state. Ron DeSantis is a very big Republican ally, high-ranking Republican at this point. People are saying he's probably going to either run for president or ascend to like some high-ranking position.
Yeah, he blew it.
In the government.
No, there's no way. He embarrassed himself during the last election, wearing high heels, like his pumps to try to make him look taller.
I think he can get another chance in the future because he got out quick, and not a lot of people remember this election cycle. It's not like he dragged it out to the bitter end and then was soundly defeated. He took his name out quickly. I think he realized this is not working, and I'll try again some other time. But yeah, here in Florida, there's a bunch of illegal immigrants. I mean, especially the farther south down you go in the peninsula, there's a bunch of people primarily from like Cuba and Guatemala. Not many Mexicans. Mexico is like the big hot button issue because of the cartels and the stream of drugs and other illegal activities. But I mean, if you're anti-illegal immigration, we have a lot here in Florida. If you go to like any place, any like plantation, big industrial scale citrus grove, agriculture, a lot of ranches, big cattle farms.
Even
it's all illegals.
Doing other types of labor like construction is still heavily dependent on illegal immigration or hiring illegal workers because of how much you have to pay out in health insurance and other things like that as the business owner. It can run you dry, and sometimes it can seem like an impossible way of running a business. I have a friend who runs a roofing business, and he's run into this issue where he's like, I can't make this profitable without lowering the amount of money I have to pay out to the workers, and that's basically through things like,
oh dude, any roofing company which has been getting record work because of the record number of hurricane landfalls and people's roofs getting blown off. I dare you to find like any group of people working on a roof in Florida and find someone who is not from south of America.
Oh yeah,
it's like impossible.
I mean, no, you can, but again, they might be. No offense to the roofers, but at least I know in the area I grew up with, most of the people who were roofers, that was the only opportunity they had.
Oh, these guys are hard workers.
Out of prison, in and out.
Guys, I've
hard workers for sure.
I've no contempt for any of these people, and I recognize them as. No, I don't think I recall ever having a bad experience with any sort of immigrant person, and that's like even living here in Florida, and like going to some of these places, especially when I used to live in South Florida. There's all sorts of public places you go, and they're all over the place. And I don't know, a lot of people in the Trump administration, and I mean, this is pretty much his primary plan to rile up support. They have like this huge contempt for immigrant groups. They think every immigrant is like bringing in drugs and specifically committing crimes. When, I mean, if you look at any subsection of any part of the population, there's going to be criminals. And I don't really think it's fair to judge entire swaths of the population on the very worst people, because then we'd be here all day saying like, oh, well, you're part of this race or this creed. And
hasn't stereotyping different cultures and people been a main driver of our evolution as humans? You have to know who you have to avoid.
Well, in the modern day, it's not very comparable to what people would have had to deal with for most of human history because of air travel and being able to cross the world in like 24 hours by plane. There's like unprecedented levels of migration now and cultural mixing, which is something that really would not have happened. I mean,
if not for Israel.
That's irrespective of the point, but referring to like even Native American groups, when you were in a tribe in America, say like pre-Columbian, in the year 1300, the most you would see as like a rival group is a slightly different tribe up the river.
Right, and I mean, fuck them, they look exactly like us, but they're slightly different, and that makes me hate them even worse. It's like the Irish and the Scottish. You're all inbred.
But in terms of human evolution and this idea that racial hatred was responsible for the advent of civilization today, I don't think that anthropological evidence supports that. Most hunter-gatherer groups that are studied today are quite peaceful, and because they live in very small groups and tribes, exhaustive and deadly military conflicts with rival people would not really be a good idea, because you'd wipe out like 10% of your entire population if 10 people die. So usually these nomadic tribes, they would just go somewhere else whenever they encountered any sort of rivalry. All this idea of huge diasporas of very different people mixing together in some country, it's a very modern thing. So any sorts of appeal to saying like, oh, well, we're supposed to hate them because that's part of evolution and it made us who we are, it doesn't really make any sense. These are all new things, and the timescale has not been long enough to see if there's been any sort of actual effect on, I guess, human psychology.
I don't know that much about the full long-term goals of eugenicists, which I assume is creating the master race always, or at least being able to weed out things like mental retardation. There's like a lot of countries that just won't allow you to have a Down syndrome child. But the gray race seems inevitable. It seems inevitable. And if that is an inevitability, then yeah, we all will be a gray race. But I'm not really sure if that's true, though, or is that like some sort of propaganda by someone who does not want to mix with other people, who does want... So, like, all right, if you wanted to be the superior race, then you would stop your people from breeding outside of your race or outside of your culture or religion. But then you might also, to reduce competition, spread a message to all the other races that you should be mixing together into this perfectly diverse gray race that has all the best aspects of all the races.
But the thing is, Rusty, there's no governing control over like what any one member of each race does. There's no like hive mind effect where the second enough Canadian people, that's not even a race.
What
am I saying?
Close enough.
Okay, the second enough Caucasian people decide that we need to do this, that it's just everyone's automatically going to behave that way. What's going to happen is just a continuation of natural trends where, due to the mass scale of transportation on Earth, like everywhere on Earth is going to look like Brazil in terms of the phenotypes of the population in like 1,000 years. And this is like the white nationalist worst nightmare. But like this is just what's going to happen, because eventually all the different phenotypes of humanity will be ironed out over time, unless you have very specific people trying to be thoroughbred.
Which there are. There's a lot of very specific types of people who also want their specific, again, culture and religion, and maybe looks to look a certain way. They say there's like a Mormon look that you can look at someone and kind of tell if they're Mormon, or one Mormon might be able to see in another Mormon. The average white person, white American, whatever, might not be able to see those differences as clearly because we're not necessarily seeing a homogenous Mormon group as someone who might have grown up in Salt Lake City or in that church would see on a normal basis. I don't really know what the point of that is, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of groups that want to be homogenous in looks and cultural practices and religion.
Well, it's a powerful political tool. And this has been huge rhetoric. It was huge rhetoric to get Trump elected the first time.
Was it? What?
Well, his whole
white nationalism? I never saw that.
I mean, Rusty, Republicans have been appealing to white nationalist demographics for a while, but
trying to. I don't believe that's true. That sounds like some fucking Democrat bullshit.
You don't have to be a self-professed white nationalist, but there are certainly a lot of older American boomer age people who have these fears and paranoia about like the merits of this greater idea of white society slipping away and turning into something unrecognizable. And they're describing something that is an economic effect, but I think they go wayward in attributing it to some big racial conspiracy to lower the average melanin count of the world, when really it's economic changes and long-term, the disgusting spread of just advanced capitalism that devalues aspects of society and makes things worse.
Well, I think the main thing is that if you can prevent any one group of people from having their own sense of security amongst themselves, unity amongst themselves, and if you can prevent them from having that, then they cannot be united to fight against you. It's like the conquer and divide thing. If you can break everyone down so that no one has anything that they hold on to or fight for because everyone is exactly the same and therefore worthless, you kind of break down the whole survival of the fittest aspect of tribalism, which created all our nations. That's globalism. You have everyone in one, and if you can do that, then the people who don't do that can come in and easily control the ununified blur of people who don't identify with anything. They have no pride in anything. And I'm not for race nationalism, because I don't think about it one way or the other. I feel like it's all going to go in one direction no matter what anyone wants, and that probably will be the gray race. But along the way, until we get to that point, there are going to be people who are going to try to accelerate it and slow it down and manipulate it so that they can gain power from it.
Well, we've entered an era now where we're under conservative rule once again, and so the flames are being stoked of basically white pride. I mean, I don't know what else you call it. And a lot of people are very happy to see the Mexicans leaving. I'm personally I don't know. I really think that most illegal immigrants in the country are peaceful. And they're probably providing a net economic benefit.
Well, sure, yeah, they're providing an economic benefit because, yeah, it allows industries to pay people less than the regulated wages that are required to pay legal immigrants or legal citizens. So, yeah, you get a lot of cheap labor. That's why most industries are kind of pushing, at least ones that use illegal immigration, they're pushing for it.
That's like a chicken and the egg economic problem where, yeah, and I don't know the answer to this, where if you are to remove all the low-wage workers, will wages go up for everyone else and make life more affordable, or will it not be compensated enough, and with the removing the cheap source of labor, the price of everything goes up and the standard of living gets worse? I guess that's something that's going to be seen in the next few years or so. I don't know what the actual numbers are going to end up being with the total amount of people that are going to be removed from the United States, but this is something that's going to be interesting to watch going forward.
Do you think it's all for show, or are they actually deporting all these people, or are they just kind of showing a little bit of fanfare at the beginning? Look, we sent a plane full of these deportees, back to their home country. Is this going to continue, or is this just going to continue long enough for people to say, yeah, we made the right decision, we got the right politician in office, and he's doing exactly what he said, and then it slows down because that's not good for anyone's business, and there's probably a lot of lobby money that would want to slow down deportation of illegal immigration.
I don't know. The main reason I think illegal immigration was put on the back burner for this long was that a lot of the big corporations were predominantly profiting off of it. Like, think about big agriculture companies.
Yeah, or Silicon Valley.
Like, I guess that's on the H-1B end.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's the opposite effect, but it accomplishes the same thing by keeping the workforce a bit suppressed, reducing the likelihood of people to unionize by threatening political power and deportation over them, and just reducing your payroll expenses. But now all of a sudden, we were watching during the debates last year where Kamala was also talking about, we need to get the immigration thing under control.
Sure, it's a talking point to confuse voters and everyone. You just say the same thing from both sides and over again, and everyone forgets, Obama was stricter on immigration than Trump even was, or Hillary was, and then they show clips, and people, I don't know, I'm not smart enough for this because I don't focus in on it. I don't look at all these stats. I just have, based on nothing, opinions. I am unbased, as someone said. I've become unbased.
Debased.
Yeah.
Cringe
debased.
Even.
Perhaps even cringe.
Well, I guess people in the chat, feel free to let us know. Have you had any Hispanic friends that have been deported in this past week? Have you seen people getting deported? Do you live in any of these sanctuary cities which are being targeted by the Trump administration? And what have you seen? Is the empty Walmart real, or is it just a big show to make Republicans feel like their policy decisions are coming to fruition, when really, I don't know what's going to come of all this policy, but we'll just have to see.
Early to tell. It's only a few days in, so yeah, he loves his.
There's another video on this video of Trump enjoying his bowl.
Okay.
So this is him in the White House.
Trump loves his bowl.
As just mass amounts of Mexicans and other immigrant groups are getting forcibly removed from the United States.
With the D-O double G. It's the motherfucking.
Yeah, you might want to mute the audio. But this video has enraged a lot of red-blooded Americans, Rusty.
Yeah, okay, so you just act like you're on fentanyl.
I think they're making a pretty good point. People act like all this, they're bringing drugs, they're bringing all this stuff. Dude.
That's funny.
Americans buy all the drugs. Like, do people not put two and two together?
Well, yeah, since
it's like, why are these people bringing so many drugs and guns over the border to fight all these turf wars?
We're operated by drug dealers who work hand in hand with the cartels, and The DEA is a joke, and we've been drug dealers at least since Reagan.
People were pissed about this video, Rusty. They don't see the comedic irony.
Really?
Yes. I mean, this is not the main post, but I've seen posts with comments of a bunch of very happy Trump supporters saying that, you know what? They're just making fun of the fact and taunting us that they're bringing the drugs in. These families need to be ripped apart, and these people need to be sent to Gitmo and tortured.
Instead of this just being a satire on the reality of our American existence.
Hey, well, you know, that's my policy. I think we're deporting the wrong people.
Who should we deport? The Chinese? Again?
No.
What?
Exactly what they were talking about in that video, Rusty. We should deport the homeless to Mexico. I mean, all these people just want drugs anyway. Sure. I say we bring them closer to the source of the drugs.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of happening. People are moving into Mexico City because it seems to be cheaper, and they're suffering the potential of violence from cartels, but at the same time, it's roughly no worse than where they're emigrating from. All right, let's move on. What do we got here? So, oh, fucking Christ. Yeah, so this is what you were talking about. I don't really know what to think about this. I just saw the clip today that Trump says Guantanamo Bay will be used to hold illegal immigrants. So keeping Guantanamo Bay open is never a good thing that you want to hear a president offering.
Yeah,
it never should exist in the first place.
This is one of those Bush-era Dick Cheney-style ideas that really make you question whether America is supposed to be like this shining leader or just this hegemonic evil empire that just takes over the entire world and violates civil liberties and institutes all these other laws on these other countries but doesn't follow them themselves, just detaining people with no due process and waterboarding them.
Yeah, you cannot be for Guantanamo Bay or against it and then for something like this. Guantanamo Bay should not exist. It's evilness. So then if you make the claim or the promise that you're going to be holding illegal immigrants in this place where they had been torturing and holding innocent people around the world in order to extract false confessions out of them through extreme torture. And yeah, let's just put our illegal immigrants there. That's a very human thing to do.
Well, you know, Rusty, I guess this is a great excuse to get more funding and budget to Guantanamo Bay, which is still housing a lot of VIP supposed terrorists of interest.
I say put Diddy in Guantanamo Bay. I say put Luigi in Guantanamo Bay.
No, bro, put SBF in Guantanamo.
Put him there.
We'll see what happens to him.
Let's get those lists.
Well, in addition to the mass deportations, probably the second biggest point of Trump's current administration has been constantly enforcing and announcing tariffs on various goods in the economy. And right now he's saying it's going to be computer chips, semiconductors, and pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, I bet they aren't going to be tariffs. I could be very wrong about this unless you know. I doubt there's going to be tariffs on the semiconductors and computer chips coming out of Taiwan, which is essentially a stronghold.
I linked the video right here, and he explicitly says that, where despite 98% of the chip supply being manufactured in Taiwan, he's going to be trying to enforce a tariff. Now, we'll have to see what the actual tariffs are, but let's just hear him speak.
Plans put together. In particular, in the very near future, we're going to be placing tariffs on foreign production of computer chips, semiconductors, and pharmaceuticals to return production of these essential goods to the United States of America. They left us and they went to Taiwan, which is about 98% of the chip business, by the way. And we want them to come back, and we don't want to give them billions of dollars like this ridiculous program that Biden has. Give everybody billions of dollars. They already have billions of dollars.
I mean, you wouldn't want to give companies like OpenAI billions of dollars.
They didn't need money.
But that's for later in the show.
And the incentive is going to be they're not going to want to pay a 25, 50, or even 100% tax. They're going to build their factory with their own money. We don't have to give them money. They're going to come in because it's good for them to come in. They're giving them money. They don't even know what they're going to do with it.
Wait, so I don't understand. Are these foreign companies that he wants to build their factories in the U.S.? Because I'm pretty sure the Taiwan Semiconductor Company was not a U.S. company that moved their headquarters to manufacture chips in Taiwan, a country that's constantly under political pressure and has constant natural disasters from typhoons and earthquakes. So, like,
I don't know
if
this is like political, worldwide politics, chess maneuvering, where, while we do seem to currently rely heavily on Taiwan for our semiconductors, at least to a point that, from what I understand, and I could be very wrong, we'd be willing to go to China, a war with China in order to have this control over Taiwan and have trade with them. Would he be trying to prevent that by moving the industry elsewhere?
But, so we want Taiwan Semiconductors to move to the United States?
I can never tell what Trump's talking about. I can't tell when he's just saying something or actually making.
Because the idea, previously they were working on the CHIPS Act, which I don't know what the progress of that is, but the government they realized the ultimate fragile problem of all these chips being based in Taiwan, a country that's constantly under threat of getting taken over by the CCP, and they want to create incentives for U.S. companies to start manufacturing chips here, but these are like brand new entities. So what would tariffs have to do with helping companies that don't even exist yet and are currently like not even manufacturing anything?
There's so much talk about the tariffs thing and if this is actually good for the country or not, and that we had tariffs before during the Gilded Age, and that's why we were so prosperous, because we didn't have an income tax, a federal income tax, until 1913, and so we were able to supplement all of our own industries by charging the imports from other countries. But things might have changed over the past 150 years. It's not really for me to speak as a non-economist.
There's a very global supply chain now. Back in the Gilded Age, most of the stuff that was produced in America was made in America because of the limitations on transportation.
It was all
and actually shipping goods. Shipping goods was a luxury back then.
It was immigration was like one of the biggest. Actually, having cheap labor coming from other countries was like the biggest resource that we could take from them. And then whenever it got a little bit too out of control, then we stopped them from coming over.
But dude, there's the thing now where I guess there's the classic thing that gets reported where like a little thing of peaches that you buy from your grocery store, it gets picked in Malaysia and then packaged in Argentina and then shipped to China for some other thing and then shipped to the United States.
It kind of makes sense though if you have a peach farm in Brazil and a fruit packing and distribution center in Malaysia, then the infrastructure is there in both cities. It'd probably be cheaper just to ship the peaches and have them do it.
If the shipping cost is less than the amount you would have to spend on producing the thing domestically, then it will get outsourced out of economic necessity, just path of least resistance. And then this has contributed to a vastly convoluted web of international supply chain. This is one of the big reasons why COVID fucked everything up so much, because a bunch of supply chains got shut off, and it's still being used as an excuse these days for stuff being on shortage. Although at this point, I think it's just corporate mismanagement and greed. And there's no excuse to be had. But it remains to be seen that, tariffs in the 21st century, when we have a modern, digitized, globally dependent economy with all these different supply chain contingencies, I understand that a lot of it is like a bluffing maneuver. There's secondary and tertiary effects, and it's part of negotiations. But surely not everyone is just going to cave to the U.S. Some of them are going to say, okay, we'll take your tariff. And here's a tariff of our own on this other good that we're exporting to you constantly. So, Trump supporters seem to have a lot of cope over this, but I really don't see how this is going to result in anything else other than consumer prices going up, which is exactly one of the biggest things that Trump's campaign run off of.
Yeah, it'll all even out though. Eventually, it's something that has to kind of be done one way or the other. If you want to fix the problem, it's like pulling the Band-Aid off the wound. It's going to hurt, but eventually you'll have an open, festering wound.
Great, and then we'll just be decaying even further.
All right, well, this tariff talk is getting crazy. I'm starting to regret some of these other slides that I included. such as RFK, he's going through his confirmation hearings as the Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services. Now, RFK Jr. has, over the past few years, I'm not sure when this started, has been, I'd say the media has portrayed him inaccurately as just some insane loon.
Yes.
When everything that I've seen from him, and I did read his book, it seems like he does have a passion for not only for trying to clean up the environment, but also for the regulation of medications that seem to be in the issues that for some reason the children and the youth are having more and more medical issues as the time goes on, and he is pushing for regulation of these medications and vaccines, and that gives them the label of anti-vaxxer because that doesn't look good for the vaccine producers.
Oh, no, pretty much every mainstream article mentioning RFK has to qualify in the title that he's either a conspiracy theorist or anti-vax.
Yeah. And he's like a very contested... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, if you take a lot of his quotations out of context, then that's what you can end up being led to believe. But what I see in RFK is someone who is sick of the medical industry running roughshod and taking advantage of American citizens, which it has been doing over the past 60 years, if not more, possibly even the entire history of the medical industry in the U.S. If you look far enough,
there's been extreme amounts
of corruption and pulling the wool over the eyes of the people and just using their air of authority, where there's few people you want to trust more than a doctor. So people do. And they end up, doctors screw up just as much as anyone else in any other profession.
Well, sure.
But it seems like there's no accountability for it at all. And I just look no further than looking at the life expectancy in the United States compared with how much money we're spending collectively as a society on healthcare to really answer your question of whether the health industry in this country is corrupt, because that life expectancy in the United States has been pretty much flat since the year 2000. In fact, during COVID, I think the average age of men at death was slightly lower than what it was in the year 2000. So if you use that benchmark, which is slightly skewed by obvious reasons, but the fact that we're spending this much on healthcare and people are not living longer, that to me, how can you not admit that that's
wrong.
Massive amounts of corruption, where a bunch of money seemingly is being skimmed off the top for no actual results in the health of the U.S. population.
Now, and RFK obviously is a very, it's like a litmus test of sorts, but he's a very dividing figure where some people they might never see anything by him, or maybe they do, but they'll think he's a loon. Everything I've heard is that he's crazy. Really? RFK? Have you heard the way he sounds? I've actually watched these videos that I'm going to play and read the comments underneath them, and a lot of people are basing it off the fact that he's crazy or weak or something because he's got a fucked up voice. He's got like some weird shit wrong with his throat, so he sounds a little bit unbearable even by his own words. But one way or the other, they're putting him through the hearings to confirm him as the Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services. And so here are just a few clips. I won't drag this on too long.
There are many things in the record, but I hope that you could answer these questions yes or no. I've tried to ask these in a manner that's faithful to what you actually said, because I didn't want to have a debate about whether you actually said them.
So these are some quotes
yes or no, Mr. Kennedy.
From RFK.
Did you say that COVID-19 was a genetically engineered bioweapon that targets black and white people, but spared Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese people?
I didn't say it was deliberately targeted. I just quoted an NIH-funded and NIH published study.
Did you say that it targets black and white people but spared Ashkenazi Jews?
I quoted a study, Your Honor. I quoted an NIH study that showed that
I'll take that as a yes. I have to move on, I have to move on. Did you say that Lyme disease is highly likely a materially engineered bioweapon. I made sure I put in the highly likely.
Before the Lyme
Did you
disease
say Lyme
claim?
disease?
Oh, you mean in Lyme, Connecticut happens to be right next to a bioengineering facility? Just like how COVID's in a town with a bioengineering facility?
And that's the developer of
Inconceivable.
Right. To hear it, Mr. Kennedy. I want them to hear it. You said yes.
I hate the politics. They just cut each other off before they can
Well,
give context.
This is all a show, so obviously the people say, like, I grilled RFK before he put in this bad policy. I was against him. So all these Senate hearings, he's going to get confirmed because the Republicans have the majority. But look, I don't think RFK is perfect, and I'm no like political cheerleader for any candidate, but I mean, don't more people consider it refreshing to have one guy actually come into a position of power who's questioning the medical establishment in the United States? Because it's been a big no-no this whole time by anyone to like even question that the U.S. is possibly not a top-tier country when it comes to healthcare.
And it is funny. Like, I mean, I'm reading through even the comments now, and I'm seeing people who are very in support of the medical industry, people who are very in support of RFK, some people who will call him a joke or a con man, and it kind of just points at the whole idea that they've done a very good job of splitting us into two realities, where some people can consume the words of a public figure and come away with an insanely different perspective on the nature of that person and what they're trying to do from someone that's right next door but didn't watch the exact same content that you did. And so they can make someone out to be a loon while other people think that this could be a hero that actually has our best interests in mind and is trying to at least take the red 40 out of it.
Yeah, there are people saying like, oh, dude, RFK is such a freaking conspiracy nut. What's he trying to do? He's trying to take the red 40 out of our foods.
Now, I personally want the red 40 in the food.
Yeah, I think people should just eat paint. Edible paint. There's surely no wrong effect. I mean, it's not like other food dyes like Orange One have been banned by the FDA for having brain rotting effects in children. But surely all these other dyes that were made by the same engineers and same companies at the same time, they're perfectly safe. I mean, who knows why people in the United States that have all these lax restrictions on food dyes and like a bunch of random crap chemicals in all the food in every single grocery store, and usually for most people, like the gas station or Dollar General, because there's a lot of people in the country that live in food deserts and they're literally forced like only to purchase processed food that has all this shit inside of it. It's like, why? I wonder why the people in the U.S. population, over a very long longitudinal sample of people, were living 7 to 8 years less than people in Japan, Italy, France. Even, I think our life expectancy has even fallen under less developed countries like Costa Rica. And I mean, this is just, ever since I became an adult and saw these statistics, I keep waiting for, it's like, okay, we live in the U.S., we spend this much on healthcare, surely our life expectancy is going to go up. But no, it seems like, if anything, the gap is widening between us and Japan. Why is it? Like, does this thing, it seems like not enough people are disturbed by this idea. It's like, why are we living 7 to 8 years less than someone born in Japan?
Yes. Yeah, and so, right, you have someone who's speaking out against this, and for some reason that makes them a kook. As
By the
though
way,
there's not a shitload of fucking money that goes into propaganda to smear someone's image who's pushing for legislation that goes against your profit.
Most of this shit, like Red 40, is banned in Europe.
I hear it goes under a different name in Europe. I'm not really sure what the whole
well, my wife recently
what that whole situation is.
Went to Europe, and she reported to me like the food is tangibly fresher tasting, because they don't allow all these like preservatives and random chemicals and random food dyes. The EU has banned that, but yeah, I guess it's like Europe and they're like lib-cucked, so we have to oppose them. But also trying to get rid of them in our country makes them like this is one of these things that doesn't make sense. It's like the American left wing is opposed to RFK, but they support European policy, and Europe has banned a lot of the stuff he's talking about banning.
I guess what I would like is for someone to pose a very solid argument against RFK. Rather than, I mean, he has done some kooky shit. I'm not gonna lie. The whole thing about skidding a bear in the middle of Central Park.
He does have Popeye voice. He's very excruciating to listen to, but it's like, God damn! It's like, we finally got someone to stand up to the medical and food industry and not just like keep pumping shit into people's bodies without ever checking it or just being like, trust us, guys, it's okay. Oh, don't mind that you're only living to 78 and the same type of person born in Italy will live to 88.
All right,
it doesn't fucking matter.
I have a counter. Here's the counter to RFK. Really? Really?
Horse dewormer? Really?
Really? Oh my God. You actually think that?
You actually think that fluoride should not be dumped into the entire water supply without anyone having a say? Oh, but that's just an idiotic conspiracy. How could you possibly think that?
You have a history of trying to take vaccines away from people. In May of 2021, you petitioned the Food and Drug Administration to not only block Americans from having access to the COVID vaccine, but to prevent any future access to the life-saving vaccine. Are you denying that? Your name is on the petition.
We brought that petition after the CDC recommended the COVID vaccine without any scientific basis for 6-year-old children. Most experts agree today, even the people who did it back then, that COVID vaccines are inappropriate for 6-year-old children who basically have a zero risk from COVID. That's why I brought that lawsuit. I want to emphasize
Mr. Kennedy, the facts.
Sorry, I'm going to play with the...
Are there like people protesting inside of the Capitol?
I can't tell from this clip if they're protesting in favor of RFK or against them. I think they were in favor from another clip I saw. This is a funny one of Elizabeth Warren. I only included it because she just sounds like a fucking crotchety old bitch. It's very unprofessional. It's only in the tonation, so I might have to turn the volume up for it.
I'm asking you to commit right now that you will not take a financial stake in every one of those lawsuits so that what you do as secretary will also benefit you financially down the line.
I'll comply with all the ethical...
Awfully rich for a politician to be saying that in this day and age.
You're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're doing.
No. Look, no one should be fooled here.
No, I am not.
Wow, now all of a sudden we care about people getting rich off the medical establishment.
You think as a Native American she'd be a little bit more skeptical about...
Yeah, just admit you lost. We took your land, brah.
And now this one, this is a good criticism, in my opinion, against RFK or his organization. And I saw this being framed on X as unhinged, crazy Bernie Sanders calls RFK out for this, but this made sense to me as bad representation of his message and himself.
You have started a group called the Children's Health Defense. You're the originator. Right now, as I understand it, on their website, they are selling what's called onesies. These are little things, clothing for babies. One of them is titled Unfaxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way. Next one is No Vax, No.
You know the type of people who are going to buy that.
Yes.
Oh, God.
You're pro-vaccine.
Senator, I have no power over that organization. I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
Yeah, that was just a few months ago. You founded that. You certainly have power. You can make that call. Are you supportive of this?
I've had nothing to do with leadership.
Are you supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly anti-vaccine?
I am supportive of vaccines. I will. I want good science, and I want to protect.
But you will not tell the organization you founded not to continue selling that product.
Okay. I mean, essentially, he is selling kind of cringe merch on his website that's like does seem a little bit too pointed, and it's trying to appeal.
Should we
to
start selling those?
Complete anti-vaccination merchandise?
I don't know.
Realize this. I'm sure we're
just create a fake domain that sort of looks like theirs and steal their money.
Once they take it off their website, then we can just start selling it.
And then we'll use that money to buy a bunch of vaccines.
All right, where's a break? I'm not going to play this last one. I think you got the point. I'll play it anyways.
Are you a conspiracy theorist?
That is a pejorative, Senator, that's applied to me mainly to keep me from asking difficult questions of powerful interests. I was told that I was a conspiracy theorist. That label was applied to me because I said that the vaccines, the COVID vaccine, didn't prevent transmission and it wouldn't prevent infection, when the government was telling people, Americans, that it would. I was saying that because I was looking at the monkey studies in May of 2020. I was called a conspiracy. Now everybody admits it. I was called a conspiracy theorist because I said red dye caused cancer. And now FDA has acknowledged that and banned it. I was called a conspiracy theorist because I said fluoride lowered IQ.
Yes.
Last week, JAMA published a meta-review of 87 studies saying that there's a direct inverse correlation between IQ loss.
All right, so I'm going to assume
I
a lot
could go
of
on
those,
for about a week.
Is there any one of them that you can say, you got me? That really...
You can. He's completely right about that, where conspiracy theorists at this point has been used to basically silence people just asking very reasonable questions.
Intentionally, by the CIA.
Yeah, and they always have to throw in the flat earth and random other people who are like schizophrenic, and they lump that into real concerns over public safety, like why do we have to have mandatory fluoride in the water supply for everyone when we already have fluoride in toothpaste and mouthwash, and if anyone wanted to apply fluoride, they'd more than easily have the inexpensive tools to do so.
Fluoride does not make any sense, and it's starting to finally gain some steam in the anti-fluoride argument, because it is something that's been so ingrained in our society, and there's money being traded around. I don't exactly know how it works, but there's something nefarious is happening because they're trying to push against the idea of any research coming out that shows the dangers of fluoride as either being illegitimate, not properly peer-reviewed, even though they are peer-reviewed by the same thing. These studies are out there. You can see them. And if you just say you're against fluoride, everyone's like, "Oh, what are you, a fucking crazy conspiracy theory? Why is it in the fucking water?"
It was much worse 10 years ago. Now people are starting to come around to it. And this is eventually, as the state of public health in America continues to be as poor as it is, despite the amount we invest in it, people are finally going to come around to being like, okay, this way of thinking is not working. And I think that's what's happening now. But yeah, the fluoride stuff, people act like it's this ridiculous, kooky conspiracy question to ask, why is this chemical in the water supply when all people say is that it's supposed to make your teeth stronger. Everyone can get toothpaste at CVS for $1.99 and brush their teeth with fluoride toothpaste. Yeah, you're not
supposed to drink fluoride.
Yeah, do people drink toothpaste? Do people drink mouthwash?
Or bathe in it?
Literally the only thing that people say it's good for is it makes your teeth stronger, why do we have to literally consume it in our drinking water? And that's too much for some people. You're like, okay, but the counter argument to that is just blatant, blind appeal to authority by saying all these institutions say that it's good, so who are you to challenge that possibly? What, are you saying that fluoride is this huge industrial byproduct that companies would have to spend lots and lots of money to dispose of properly and efficiently, and instead they could just sell it to water refiners in various American cities and just dump it in the water supply? No, that's completely crazy. That doesn't make any sense. Of course it's safe. Why would you question that it's not?
Well, anyways, my teeth are all rotten ever since I started using reverse osmosis water filters.
Oh no.
And now I can't figure out how to brush my teeth. So I probably should have relied more on the government to, without my consent, put toxic chemicals that fuck up your brain, that causes your skeleton to seal together
Now, Rusty, I know that we've got a bit more to cover here.
Yeah, we got to get to a break or something.
You're listening to the Emp and Rusty Show. The Emp and Rusty Show.
Emp and Rusty in the morning.
We're two guys who think if you buy Starbucks every day but complain about not being able to afford a home, you deserve to be homeless.
We're two guys that think if you're being held up at the checkout line by a mobility scooter, you're obligated to tip them over.
Wait, stop.
We're two guys who think that if you're gonna be a whore, you should at least sleep with incels to stop these school shootings.
We're two guys that think if men should be allowed in women's bathrooms, then you can't complain about a little bit of piss on the toilet seat.
Wait, don't say that.
We're two guys who think if you let your kid use TikTok, then you support communism.
We're two guys who 区的尊中伟打开中国帝国开力量.
We're two guys who think the U.S. should take in more Mexicans and deport the homeless.
We're two guys who think if you outsource American jobs to India, then you should have to wipe your ass with your left hand.
We're two guys who think that the Native Americans should just admit they lost and get over it.
We're two guys who think recycling is code for I'm a hippie faggot.
Wait, that's me.
We're two guys who think that celebrities dying of drug overdoses is really funny.
We're two guys who think your student loan should be paid off by selling those avocado toasts you all love so much.
We're two guys who think that Ted Kaczynski had a lot of good points about society.
We're two guys who think if you ask for a tip at a coffee shop, it's time to get a real job in construction.
We're two guys who think that fat people should be burned for fuel in the winter.
No.
We're two guys who think therapy is for crybabies who don't know how to fish.
We're two guys who think that Sesame Street should go back to not being woke.
We're two guys who think if you drive an electric car, you should have your genitals tortured with jumper cables.
You don't mean that, do you?
We're two guys who think that movie stars and politics don't mix.
We're two guys who think if you text while driving, you should have a finger cut off.
We're two guys who think it's okay to get diarrhea from Mexican food, but not Indian food.
Real talk, real opinions. Zero fucks given.
This is Emp and Rusty in the morning.
All right, we are back from the break. I hope you enjoyed that little clip and could actually hear it. That was the little break at the end with the TV. That was a submission from a fan who they filmed that, sent it to me. I thought it was really good, so I cut it in. And if you want to submit anything like that, like transitional videos, you can do so by going to submit at cage-tech.com. That link should be in the description.
And if we like it enough, you may see it on a future live episode.
Yeah, and we already have some submissions.
Would you like to read some of the super chats from the first half of the show?
Definitely, we have to.
I see Nerd City and Top Drawer here. Top Drawer, I'm working with him again on the next Empleman main channel video. Oh, and Bedhead Bernie. Awesome. All the people are coming out.
Okay. Sorry if we missed your super chats last week. We had some technical issues. Greetings from Krakow, Rusty. It's 2:30 a.m. Well, thank you from Krakow. Where the fuck is that?
I believe that's in Poland. And if I remember correctly, that was the site of one of Hitler's major concentration camps.
Very nice. Well, thank you, Victor Z. Gangstalker, Rusty, have you thought about joining the adult film industry? No. But, I mean, it's probably a little bit too late now. Thank you for your money. Top Drawer, you can read this one.
Top Drawer with the 11.99 euros. The set is so sick. Thoughts on Creator Clash 3 reveal? Or some fights you want to see on the card? We will be talking about Creator Clash 3 later in the show, so stay tuned for our thoughts on that. Pumpkin Dreams with the $10 late Friday night. And this is referring to when they might want us to have the weekly schedule. Late Friday night, schizophrenic Conan vibes is what you should go for on the show. Just my heckin' opinion, of course.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like, I feel like a Friday night, you know, there are going to be some people that are going to go out and be doing something, but
The real ones will stick behind. I mean, we'll try it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's a new world.
Or maybe some other day, who knows. We'll have to deliberate with the main computer brain before deciding on that. Lone Wolf and Cub with the 2
Great
pounds.
comics, by the way. Lone Wolf and Cub. Very inspirational to a lot of assassin Western or Eastern media.
Take my money, Spoon. Embrace the end times.
Thank you for your $2, sir. Your euros.
Megalag with the $5. Rusty, what's it like being undead?
It's like every day I'm trying to think what brings me joy anymore, and am I just working in order to maintain life, or would I be happier being out in the woods with very little responsibility that would force me to maintain having to live in a house and create videos that seem worthless in the end.
Okay, Rusty, we get it. That's all we feel while we are alive. Now, how do you feel being undead?
Oh, it's great. I love it. I love every minute of it.
Shoe BBA with the 20 pounds. Hey, Rusty, would you ever invite guests on the show who'd call in online, or will it only ever happen in person? I'd love to see you and Sven Stoffels chop it up sometime.
Geez, if I have Sven on, then probably won't have this podcast anymore. I would love to have people on. I still need to work on the tech side. Obviously, this is still in the early experimental stages, but I do want to have guests on. I plan on doing that soon, and I would also like to set up, we were talking about setting up some sort of phone line where people can leave messages. Maybe not live call in unless they're vetted, because we all know what they're going to say if we just allow them, any randos, to call in. But we're going to work on that.
Paul with the $5.
Hello, Paul.
Are you putting enzyme or bacteria packs in your septic systems? I'm not an expert, but I know they extend the pumping interval. Yes, we have used the enzymes in our house. Actually, when we got it pumped, it was only like half full. It was not really even close to overflowing. So
I didn't even know that was a
maybe
thing.
You're supposed to treat it inside, and I think it makes the shit water slightly less shitty. So it's suggested. Frandon with a $3.13 weekday for wages. Proverbs. I think it's supposed to be a Bible verse, but it got cut off there.
Yeah, that was something you said, a weekday for
Well, maybe
wages.
we will create a new Bible with stuff we say on the show.
Thank you, Frandon. And also, Frandon was the one who created that.
Oh, yeah,
graphic.
Frandon, that was a great bumper. Thank you so much for that. Floating Door with the $20. Super stoked to see you two doing a podcast. It's not a podcast.
This isn't a podcast. This is a live.
I should say super
show.
stoked to see you guys doing a show like this. Also glad to see that you were able to reattach your head after the lemonade accident. Have you guys seen many ICE agents in Florida? Much love from Southern Indiana. Supposedly they were in our town yesterday.
Really?
But I mean,
seen
I never physically see any of them. I don't think there's that many of them in total, so they probably just go around. But yeah, it's a pretty big spooky thing. I mean, if you're an illegal immigrant, time's ticking, buddy.
You know the big cringe shit on TikTok right now, because TikTok is still around.
Yeah.
It's like the cute winter boots. It's like these faux revolutionaries saying, "Oh, make sure you find your cute winter boots." It's supposed to be code for, you know, the anti-ICE, anti-authoritarian, anti-Trump regime rebellion that's supposed to happen, and this code is so obvious, and they're posting it on an app where anyone can easily
It's like
decipher.
pedo saying cheese pizza.
Yeah.
All right, should we read
Yes.
the more?
Let's
pick them up.
Let's finish them.
All right, fine. Paul with the $5. Democrats bowed out because they know the economy is going to collapse, and they want it to be on a Republican shoulder. There's a lot of, the political parties go back and forth where they're like, "You caused that market crash." No, we fixed it. And
I
then you came in."
inherited a bad economy.
This stuff, I honestly think for the past 25 years, the economy has been irrespective from policymakers. They've both been working for the economy. This is just my opinion, but I think whenever there's big economic tumbles, it comes from a black swan event that is outside of U.S. intelligence.
Or it's just from the investors, such as I'll read this one, such as, what caused the actual stock market to drop on Black Friday.
Yeah, protect the investors, protect the corporations.
Sure. So YOLO Swag Studios, YOLO Swag, a friend of the show, he makes the funny comics about homosexuals.
I have seen the comments.
Incest.
Yes.
You look like Chinese Eminem now with the dyed hair. There's this thing that pops up every once in a while where people think that I look Chinese. And I don't think I look Chinese. But that's just me. I do pee and coke, but I don't think I look Chinese. But a lot of black women will think that I'm part Asian.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know if you looked like that before the accident. It's possible that the unit that Deepak was in charge of proofreading might have gotten a little mixed up on the racial profile there. So
they changed the stats.
We'll have to get that looked out. Floating Door with the $10 saying Emp's Ian Miles Chong impression is gold.
Can you do that again? I don't remember what it was.
I was just saying like, Elon, I drew you a picture. I hung it on my fridge. It's us holding hands and hanging out and being best friends.
Can I work for you, Elon? Please, Elon.
Pollock with the $5 saying Asmongold changed his photo and lost his verification. It's normal, so
okay.
I guess there's a conspiracy debunked there. Pollock with another $5 saying this conversation is anti-Semitic. Now, that's not something we try to
no more
do on the show.
No more talking about things that might be perceived as anti-Semitic on this program. Thank you, Pollock.
With the $4.99 asking where's Mumkey. We will get to Mumkey later in the show. Paul with another $5 saying legalize all drugs, ban Narcan, let cause create effect. Well, that's going to be some big population control right there. If you put in more illegal opioids and then ban the one thing that can save people from it.
I don't know what to think about that. I mean, I have to agree with legalize all drugs because it's the closest thing to freedom, but maybe not the best for running a society. I don't know. I don't want to have a stupid take on that until I've done some mushrooms and thought really deeply on it.
Yep, with the $4.99 saying the show would be much better with Mumkey as the third host. State of the YouTube 2.0, Rusty. The fans want it. But I don't know.
Yeah, well,
the door is open to Mumkey if he wants to do a call-in.
He hasn't picked up my phone, my calls. Every time I've tried to call him, he doesn't return any texts.
It's just Eggy picking up the phone.
Yes, that's right. And so I think he's just competing with this program. We did skip one from Pollock. The pharma companies hire foreign Indian doctors to prescribe opioids to rural whites. You Redditor. This is just the next iteration.
Yeah, this is going to be something on the show going forward. I don't have a lot of sympathy for addicts. I'm sorry. But I understand they're victims and stuff, but that is a discussion for the other time. But most of the homeless addicts I see on the street, I don't have a lot of respect for. Sorry. Paul with the $5 saying Lyme disease is definitely a bioweapon, appears out of nowhere in the 70s in an area where people have been living for hundreds or thousands of years, and I think it is physically close to when it's an island off the coast of Long Island near the shore of Connecticut.
Okay.
There's like a genetic research facility. That's at least what the streets have been telling me. Paul with the 10 saying, look into Japanese healthcare, mandatory annual physicals, and they penalize you for being fat or having high cholesterol done through your employer. Well, yes. I say you've been to Japan very frequently over the past few years, and how many fat people are there?
There are no fat people except for the ones that are nationally celebrated.
Specifically like sumo wrestlers.
I didn't see any, and I barely saw. The first time I saw some homeless people, but you don't see any fat people there. It's the same thing I've heard in China where in order to graduate from certain universities, you have to meet physical requirements. So you can't just be out of shape. You have to physically and mentally be prepared to enter their culture's workforce.
Right. It's really interesting how these things can be achieved in other countries, but not the U.S. Paul, with the... I think you went down a bit too far there. Paul, with the $5... saying, I took an IQ test in elementary school. Coincidentally, my doctor put me on fluoride pills until I was 12 or so. I guess, is that the thing that predated Ritalin, where we have to find a way to medicate children who are just supposed to be perfectly healthy by the default state of humanity?
I don't remember. There's a lot of weird shit with the IQ tests in elementary school in the 90s. I'm not sure when he's talking.
Salty Shacko with the $2 Australian. Is your likeness used to sell cell phones? I think that's something regarding the Knife Game app or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but my likeness is used to sell cell phone apps against my will, and I can't sue them because these companies exist outside of countries that play ball with the American legal system.
Paul with the $2 again. Please feel I'm sure he's saying feel free to ignore my super chat spam. I'm sure we haven't heard the last of Paul. Bureaucrat with the $5. I feel like I don't support folks like you too much. Love these streams. Between this and Sam Hyde content, I can remain sane. You see, Sam Hyde started the Sam Hyde show specifically to crush us.
I haven't seen
Rusty.
that yet. Is it out?
He released the first episode.
I'm sure it had massive audience retention.
So far, it's him like answering phone calls from the audience.
Interesting. Will you ever have Sam Hyde on? Yeah, that'd be tight. Sam Hyde's always welcome if he is a friend of the show, but I feel like he's kind of doing his own thing.
He's on like a different level now. We're trying to work our way up to that.
I'm just trying to be known.
Paul with $5 saying shout out to @Carlo for getting an Avian Crux tattoo. Now, when has this happened? People are getting tattoos after your likeness, Rusty.
Or the
It's
symbol.
a big deal.
I don't know. I think this is something that I'm falling behind on, but if Carlo has an Avian Crux tattoo, that's pretty tight.
Crow Eater 1836 with the 5 Australian. Hey, great show as always. Thank you for nuking the last show with my, or sorry for nuking the last show with my ramblings. You know, is it his fault? Is he related to Jim Crow? Maybe. Anyway, Senor Pello, another friend of the channel.
Another friend of the channel.
2,000 Mexican pesos. Now, how much is that in USD?
I think that's like $2,000.
I think it's like $1 million. Wow. Just here to support the show. Thank you, Senor Pello. We've appreciated the support over the years. Love the videos. AJ with the $10. Hey, my friends hired me to say Rusty Lemon. Sorry, was forced to, but I would love to say that my boyfriend absolutely adores the show. You guys are amazing. Rusty, never die again, please. Well, based on the latest edited episode that we're supposed to be working on pretty soon.
I'm working on...
No spoilers, but I wouldn't hold your breath about Rusty not dying again. Salty Shackle, $2 Australian. Used cell phones. I guess he's referring to his older posts. Floating Door with the $20. I'll get both of you guys' names tattooed on my ass if you guys go on Cold Ones or vice versa.
Yeah, okay. Let me just ask Cold Ones if they want to fly us out to Australia and put us on their show.
Rusty, I don't drink.
Oh.
I think they actually have invited us on.
Oh, really?
But I'd like to go on.
You don't want any grog?
But I don't drink alcohol, so if I go on there, people will make fun of me. So I don't know what to do.
Okay, I will say this. As you can see, this set is pretty tight. The camera angle only can show so much, and I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to get Chad into this room where they'll be able to see all of him.
Yeah, hopefully.
Like Max, easily. We can put him somewhere. We can put him over there. We'll make it work.
All right, well, that appears to be the super chats for now.
Will you work with... do we have more?
Let's just... there's more coming. We got to continue with our... We still have a bit to get through here.
Dizzy, come at us for Greenland. Learn to speak English. Thank you, Dizzy, for your money. Yup, Rusty, will you work with Low Res Wonder Bread again soon?
That's the person who made a Mass State Lottery, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, and I'm waiting for the one that I was in.
We're always open to working with people.
Yeah. I liked that whole crew. It was actually a really fun time. Okay, let's get back to the show.
Can you believe this? Rusty.
What, a black school shooter? Absolutely not.
I'm sick of the DEI. I'm sick of the woke. Can white people have one institution to themselves that's not constantly infiltrated with women and minorities?
That's true. This is DEI for school shooting.
Wasn't Trump supposed to get rid of this?
Yeah, I'm tired of the wokeness in school shooting. All these trans kids that are shooting up schools now, it's so forced. It's not what we want. We want something that we can recognize as truthful. We want something that can represent the people.
Yeah, think of all the greatest school shooters in history. Let me guess. What color are they?
Well, I mean, I would want to say Virginia Tech was a Chinaman, and I don't know if he's a hero in your country, but he certainly was overshadowed in America.
Yeah, well, you
got all the best ones.
Yeah, it's okay to let one Asian in occasionally, but there's the woman shooter, and now I don't know.
What are their names? There's just too much writing going on. It's kind of like flooding and saturating the market. I don't think that school shootings are good in any regard. That's my real, honest, personal opinion. But for the sake of the show, can we at least let the crazy white man have something?
Please. Also, negative XP catching strays. Very unfortunate.
I don't think that this is catching strays at all. So negative XP, this is the school shooter. He's wearing a negative XP shirt. I don't know if negative XP is a friend of the show, but I like his content. I like his music. I haven't heard from him in a while.
Supposedly he made a song, Dale, because he watched my Dale Earnhardt video, although that's an unconfirmed rumor.
The thing is, when it comes to having a fan base that includes school shooters, it's not a good look.
It's something you'd know
creator.
about very specifically, Rusty.
Yeah, it's a limited. I don't know. It's going to grow bigger and bigger the more people start shooting up schools. But yes, Nicholas Cruz obviously was watching my content at one point.
Well, speaking of armed gunmen showing up at schools.
Let's see, try it again. Yeah.
The Secret Service surrounded some random middle school in Chicago, supposedly because an 11-year-old kid posted an anti-Trump meme.
All right, now this is Block Club Chicago. What is this? Who tweeted this out?
So this is part of a story where once Trump signed in all the executive action to deport Mexican people and other illegal immigrants, it was thought that ICE was raiding the school in Chicago. It was like a high Mexican demographic school apparently, and people thought ICE agents were literally trying to break into the school and like take the Mexican kids away from the classroom. But then later it turned out that it was a bunch of feds trying to like intimidate or arrest some kid who posted an anti-Trump meme.
Oh shit, okay, because I did see something where there was a teacher who posted on some Facebook group saying, I'm a teacher in this area and, you know, ICE needs to come here because we have a lot of students that can't speak English. So there's going to be a lot of fuckery and Fed action going on to frame this one way or the other. The feds are fighting each other.
So what's funny is now, apparently you can't post a meme about Trump as an 11-year-old kid, but 6 months ago, the same Secret Service was seemingly unable to check the only rooftop sniper vantage point in the entire public speaking area and allowed 6 bullets to be shot directly at the future president. Really makes you think. But this is what the feds have to get themselves involved in.
Right. Well, this kid might be important. They could probably use him and train him how to use a gun and perhaps...
Oh, they're going to send him to Fort Bragg?
Perhaps, yeah. You'll see him come out of Fort Bragg any day now.
Anyway, in lighter news, I'm just kidding, of course.
Well, this is
the heaviest news we've covered so far.
It's a heavy topic for sure.
A woman has sued the company Lyft because the driver denied her service for being afraid that her weight would completely tip over his small sedan vehicle.
Where was he at?
This was in Detroit, I believe. No, there's yeah,
okay.
So this is a local news article covering it.
Oh, yeah.
Ginger Blanding tells us she was just trying to get to a Detroit Lions watch party this month when her Lyft rolled up.
As I'm walking, I see him like making faces or whatever. I'm like, oh man.
She already knew.
Rusty,
I can fit in this car.
Believe me, you can.
Yes, I can.
Believe me.
He told her there's not enough room in his car.
The kicker part was when
That's
he started
just
to
an
talk about his
excuse.
tires. I feel like that was...
You know she wanted to sit on the passenger side on the driver's side to push him forward.
Did you just say the tipping point?
Wait.
In his car.
The kicker part was when he started to talk about his
I'm
tires.
hearing things.
I feel like that was a slap in the face. That was like my tires, like...
The driver said his tires could not handle her weight.
Every big person you turn down because they can't fit in your car?
Yeah, because they need to order the Uber XL.
No, I don't never have to order Uber XL.
He apologized, canceled the ride, and left her there. The rapper says she's pretty tough.
Rapper, candy rapper?
Dank DeMoss, as she's known at the mic, is crushed by the whole situation.
I just want them to know, like...
That's not the only thing that got crushed.
It really hurt my feelings.
It looks like Lyft might be hurting pretty soon, too.
I knew it was illegal, and I knew that it was wrong.
Her attorneys, John Marco and Zach Runyon, say
these
wig
guys
is
are
a
the
protected
fucking Better Call
characteristic.
Saul of fucking Detroit.
Yeah, not an ambulance chaser.
This guy is so fucking happy that this is a national story.
Ooh, I can make some money off this fat rapper. Oh, wait. Do we have any music from her?
In Michigan,
maybe that's something to look at some other time.
It would be no different than a driver
I'm
pulling up and saying, you know, I don't want to have black people in my car, or I don't want to have Christians in my car, or Muslims in my car. It's the same. Under the law, it's the same.
The lawsuit is filed.
What was her name? Lardy B?
Her name is, her rapper name is Dank DeMoss.
Oh, okay. Dank DeMoss. It should be Lardy B.
Since she posted the encounter on social media, other full-figured folks have reached out saying the
Full-figured
same
folks,
thing happened.
Rusty.
Folks, this is a full-figure friendly show. Okay.
Well,
right. No, I'm looking this up. I just want to hear if Dank DeMoss. Demos? Is that how you spell it?
Yeah.
All right.
Rusty, is she getting more views than you on her music? You know, they're saying in the industry she's going to be the next big thing.
Yeah, she's blowing up.
Ugh. God damn it. No, Rusty, it's not okay to make fun of plus-sized people.
I'm not making fun of anyone. I think that she's beautiful. I think people can be beautiful at any size.
Big thank for a big motherfucking reason, nigga.
You're gonna end up dead, too.
I can't wait, I'm in.
She said she's in a cage, Rusty. What is she trying to say with that?
That's I like it. I can get down with this.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
So I guess this is what, just the female Biggie Smalls?
Biggie Big.
Yeah, you know, maybe that's a double standard. Like, how come we can have Biggie Smalls as like this big respected rapper for being a big fat guy, but now when a woman does it, it's a problem?
Well, I mean, Lizzo had her day.
Yeah, but then Lizzo she made the mistake of becoming less fat than her backup dancers, and then they started canceling her, and now she's lost all her success.
Uh-oh.
Probably just gotta reload the stream again. Or that could be a copyright issue.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what happened last time we aired the Bill Nye gender fluid segment, so...
Yeah, but if Dank DeMoss has that same power as Bill Nye, this is...
No, she's got that pull. Gravitational pull, that is. But anyway, what do you think about this lawsuit, Rusty? Fair or foul of the Lyft driver who I believe has since been fired from the company? Fair or foul for him to deny her service for her size?
Well, as the driver, I believe it's their right to deny anyone that they want, and it's probably the right of Lyft to fire anyone they want. But that's a reasonable concern on his part, not to want someone insanely heavy in his car.
I'm sure the tire thing was an excuse in the moment.
She probably smelled really bad, is what I'm thinking, and he just came up with something.
Well, she is dank.
That's right.
But, gosh, you know, when I was a kid, we had the whole thing where it's the big public talking point of the elderly woman from McDonald's who sued them for, like, spilling a bunch of hot coffee on her lap and getting third-degree burns, and she sued McDonald's on the ground that the coffee was too hot. And that was a big poster child case for frivolous lawsuits in America. Even though if you look up the actual story of that woman, it's kind of sad. Where
it was
like a granny, and she got horrifically burned because
she got destroyed by that coffee.
Yeah.
It was very hot coffee.
But everyone hated her back then because it's like, look at people abusing the
you
the
got
legal
hot
system.
coffee and you didn't know it was going to be hot. Fucking idiot. But I think there was actual issues with the heating mechanisms on the machine that was boiling the coffee to be hotter than it was consumable.
I think she did.
Comfortably.
She did win a settlement.
Yeah. No, but she got shamed. But I think she was in the right. There was something on McDonald's side.
This is very much a modern version of at least what this is going to be seen publicly as just, dude, really?
Now
you're making this into a case.
But we are friends of the what do they call her? larger bodied, full-bodied, full-figured.
Full-figured people.
Yes. Full-figured people are friends of the show, and vice versa. So, yeah, I think Lyft they lost a bigot.
Think about it, though. This is the type of person that RFK is trying to erase from America.
Right, her identity.
They will not be silenced. But anyway, all this stuff ahead of time has just been obligatory news crap. There's been one news story this entire week that has actually piqued both of our interests, and I've been very excited to talk about this. Our main story for the Rusty Cage Show.
Is this it? Now, DeepSeek, you have to explain it. Here's all I know about DeepSeek. I turned on my computer, I signed into my stock brokerage account, and I looked at my portfolio, and I saw red in the thousands, because I happen to be quite overexposed to stocks such as Taiwanese Semiconductors and Nvidia. And so I said, what the fuck happened? Oh, the Chinese were meddling once again.
Well, Rusty, there's a reasonable explanation for all of that. And as you can see, folks, China is back at it again. Shaping up ever since the fall of the Iron Curtain in the 90s, China has been positioned as the #1 most dominant, most formidable rival to U.S. sovereignty, and they are back. Now, it's worth noting in the build-up to this, the U.S. and China, we've been in a bit of an economic war for a long time now. Ever since probably Trump's first administration, that's when China was starting to be seen as a serious threat. Very recently, obviously, most of you have probably heard the news that TikTok is trying to be banned by the U.S. government unless the Chinese-owned parent company ByteDance sells to an entirely U.S.-owned and U.S. federally regulated corporate entity.
Which is kind of looking like they will be doing that to some degree, that maybe Oracle will take over these databases.
Well, the clock has been reset again. Oracle has been named, Microsoft, Mr. Beast, all these people. But anyway, the U.S. and China are undergoing an economic Cold War of sorts. And a few days ago, Trump announced that the government will be donating $500 billion.
Donating.
Yes.
Generous donation of $500 billion to Stargate.
In that clip, he was just talking about how Biden is giving away a few $1 billion to encourage companies to say, no, let's give $500 billion of taxpayer dollars to Sam Altman and the supposed non-profit company. But anyway, dude, I saw Trump supporters online saying like, oh my God, we're going to get literal teleportation technology. This is the future.
No, you're going to get a satanic technocracy of fucking a bunch of psychos who are trying to usher in the end of the world and completely dismantle society. That's what I think. I could be wrong.
But anyway, suffice to say, over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of hype between AI in U.S. stocks and U.S. companies and the general public interest, and people are saying like, dude, we're going to get a Stargate, we're going to get teleportation, the sky's the limit. All these Silicon Valley tech companies that have been investing billions in AI, they've got to be cooking something great. So I think China saw this and they got a little frustrated with the US trying to throttle TikTok. And
so let's just say what happened.
The day after this happened, allow me to introduce you to Liang Wenfen, the wolf of Wangfu Jing Street.
This is your cousin?
He's possibly tangentially related to me. I don't know. I mean, they say all of us look the same. I have the green recessive trait of...
Right behind that pillow there. Oh, if you could hand that to me. No, it's like stuck in between the pillow and the couch.
Oh, yes. Folks, we just talked about earlier in the show of how Elon Musk is supposed to be our Andrew Carnegie, our Henry Flagler, our Vanderbilt lineage of amazing entrepreneurs. Well, it appears that China might be entering the age of their illustrious entrepreneurs, because this is the face of the man who single-handedly cost the U.S. stock market over $1 trillion this past Monday.
Yeah.
So basically the story of Wenfen,
Can we just say exactly what happened? Like, let's not bury the lead here. What happened was a program called DeepSeek came out, which seems to be way more powerful and engineered at a way cheaper price than OpenAI, which was trying to get a $500 billion contract.
OpenAI and Claude and Google Gemini.
All of it.
And Facebook's Llama. And basically, what's somewhat disturbing about this whole thing is that this guy, he did not get his start at a company that produces AI. He does not have a 10-year lead like Sam Altman did.
So they say.
And billions of dollars in funding. So they say. This is supposedly the official story. What this guy is a quantitative analyst who started using AI to do stock trading on China's stock market to produce what appeared to be a very successful hedge fund.
Okay.
And then as a side project, this is not the main function of the company, as a side project, he assembled a team of engineers that some of which worked at his company. I guess some other ones were recruited out of various Chinese universities and trades. He got together a team which supposedly spent $5 million in training this AI, which this is a number to get similar results on ChatGPT and Google Gemini. They spent billions.
Yeah,
billions
right. So
and billions.
For roughly $5 million, and with, from what I understand, according to the claims, a lot less needed chips and just hardware in general.
So the official news is that for $5 million in a couple of years with a team of employees much smaller than anything at OpenAI or Google or Meta, they were able to produce an LLM, generative AI model, that outperforms all of the best and highest tier US products that have been on the market now for several years. And again, I should reiterate, have had billions of dollars of investor capital funneled into them.
Right.
And this program is called DeepSeek. It's available to use for free. It's open source. The source code should be available to anyone who wants to modify it. And
all right, now, at some point I'm going to have to step in here. So what are we looking at here?
So this is various benchmark data, and I'm not in computer science. I can't tell you anything specific here. This is just what I've seen various engineers share online. And DeepSeek R1, and they have an even newer model now that's just been revealed in the last few days that's supposedly even stronger. It appears to be equal, if not better, than OpenAI and Claude and various other US models on various computer benchmarks used to test the efficacy of the AI in problem solving and efficiency.
Doesn't it just seem like scam marketing a little bit, the same way that they always promote the idea of this grand project that just came out? Elon Musk does it a lot. A lot of these innovators do, if they want to affect the market and try to get their name out. They'll make all these claims, but is it actually better? So it's supposed to be open source. I'll believe it whenever someone takes that, and I don't know anything about coding, so forgive me if I sound very stupid. Until someone actually takes that and makes it open to American usage in a way that we can use it and see results that are better than OpenAI in its current state, I won't believe it. Because right now, I do have DeepSeek. I downloaded it. I created an account, I guess. And just like how OpenAI won't tell you certain things because it has, terms of service and community guidelines and all this bullshit, which is essentially just propaganda masking censorship for the government that it's subject to.
They don't want the technology to be used by the people for its full potential, so they have to neuter it, basically.
Yeah, they have to neuter it, and DeepSeek currently does that. You can't ask it certain questions. We'll show that later.
But anyway, so Rusty, there's a lot of speculation as to whether their claim is legitimate, whether it's a whole psyop designed to drive down U.S. stock prices, and we'll get to that.
Okay.
But real computer engineers have been testing and using the service, and they are finding, so for AI models, you have to use what are called tokens, which is basically just quantifying computer server energy, the amount of energy required to put in a request to a server. And I've heard people saying that it's up to 50 times cheaper than ChatGPT to input commands and come out with almost the same result.
Yeah, so they figured out a way. They're essentially, what this is doing one way or the other is calling out the facade that is Silicon Valley, asking for $500 billion or the need for however many tens of thousands of NVIDIA chips.
And once again,
necessary.
This is an open source model. This is very important to differentiate because Google, Facebook, and OpenAI, all their code base is behind a big, heavily protected wall of secrecy, whereas these Chinese developers supposedly, and once again, any sort of web developers in the chat, computer coders, feel free to correct us if we get anything wrong here, if you've been able to test this out for yourself, but supposedly DeepSeek is open source. They published all the technical aspects in a public paper, and just anyone can use this technology. So when you go to your complaint, a bunch of people have been posting stuff to like try to own DeepSeek and take it down a peg, saying like, LOL, you can't type in Tiananmen Square, Xi Jinping, Winnie the Pooh, and it won't answer you about any question. But obviously the public model is hosted on Chinese servers, and everyone knows that the Chinese firewall prevents these things. They won't let you operate in communist China if you don't put in these protections. This is the same thing we have in the United States. I have Google Gemini on my phone. I was excited to try it, but I quickly became very disappointed to see that you can't ask it any question about the election without it shutting down and saying that I can't answer the question.
Yeah, Gemini sucks. Well, they're saying, a lot of people are saying, you can download the code. I guess I'll have to figure out how to do that myself and get it away from the Chinese firewall.
It's probably an extensive technical process. So I've been deferring to seemingly the people online who have a lot more experience with this stuff. And the consensus seems to be that it's the real deal. Now, I can't speak for the financials. That's a conversation we're going to get to in a second. But this has been a huge shock to the system, a huge shock to the tech industry. A lot of people are thinking it's too good to be true. That may very well be the case. But basically, what we have at face value, if you just take everything that's claimed as truth, is that this crack team of Chinese engineers who started this thing as a side project basically made something 50 times more efficient than the best US product for 100 to 1,000 times less the cost.
Maybe even
more
than that.
There are major implications to all of this that I think we're only just now beginning to realize. If this is true...
It seems like warfare. It seems like a technological and economic warfare by strategically undermining at very specific times. I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of our own senators and Congress people knew something about NVIDIA, such as Nancy Pelosi, who seemed to have reduced her position in NVIDIA quite a bit before this news dropped. Could be wrong, but yeah.
This is potentially wide-reaching implication, not just in the field of AI, but this is potentially a watershed moment in like the course of U.S. history in terms of the United States dominion, in terms of the world of technological superiority. Because China 40 years ago, most people were just farming dirt, basically. Like 60 years ago in China, Mao was creating mass starvations and getting people to melt down their silverware into steel to export it as like metals to other countries, and 65 million people starved to death.
That's what I was saying. You have to pull the Band-Aid off.
Oh, maybe that's what's in our future, but it's in China's past. But China, I mean, at this point, they've caught up. I don't know how much cope you have to be on to try to suggest that this is not anything in China. Like, and even if they spent more money, people are looking at the technology. It works. It is passing these benchmarks that are just rigorously created by computer engineers, and it is outperforming U.S. software. So what do we have to say to that? And this is people are comparing this to the Sputnik moment, or for those not aware of history, in 1959, I believe, the Soviet Union launched the first satellite into orbit. And that was something that you could literally go outside at night and see it flying over. It was the Sputnik satellite, and that basically prompted the U.S. to start investing in the space race and space travel, because it would be very crushing to the U.S. population for federal officials and just general public sentiment to admit that the communist system is creating a better technological output than the United States free market.
Well, then if they're going to light a fire in our ass and come up with force us into coming up with better technology, I would love that.
Where I think this is different from Sputnik, though, is the space travel and stuff like that. It was a very nascent idea back then, and people weren't really sure, I think domestically in the U.S., if they wanted to do it. But once the Soviet Union established that they were trying to become the first to go to the moon, then that galvanized the U.S. population, and John F. Kennedy gave his famous speech saying that we have to go to the moon not because it's easy, but because it's hard. And then all of a sudden, you had 5% of the federal budget going to NASA and getting men on the moon. This is a little bit different because I think AI has been established as something that's going to be very important for the future of progress.
All this is going to do is, it's going to enforce that $50 or $500 billion deal to OpenAI and Stargate, because now in order to win the war, in order to defeat them, no expense is too high.
We need to spend more money than them, literally on a factor of 100,000. But that opens up another point where has engineering in China really gotten that efficient and that intelligent where they have surpassed U.S. abilities? And I know,
or we're just lying.
Well, people are bringing up the H-1B visas where the companies, they use talented labor to actually create the product, but then to maintain it, or even to create it from the ground up now, is in the case of some companies, it's a bunch of people from India who are really not that qualified, but they're kept here for political purposes of keeping wages low and just devaluing the overall economy. I guess what I was trying to say earlier is that AI has been a big thing. Companies have already been investing in it. The biggest, most prestigious US tech companies, Google, Apple, Meta, and OpenAI, which their specialty is AI, so I expect them to be good. And apparently it's not as good as this thing from China that wasn't even created as the main source of income for these engineers. So there are potentially some deeply disturbing implications about the state of the US tech industry, the state of the US economy, because if China can come out and pump out something like this that beats US tech, what does that say about the value of US tech? And
well, overvalued, I mean, that's at least what NVIDIA has been showing.
So DeepSeek is the #1 on the App Store. People are using it. And I think when it comes to the American consumer, TikTok proves this. American consumers these days don't care if something's made in China.
Not anymore.
They don't have the retarded brand loyalty that like boomers have about buying American cars after the American automakers had to get bailed out with taxpayer money to prevent them from going bankrupt because they produced shitty products for 40 consecutive years. People don't care about that anymore. People will use TikTok. They don't care if it's from China. They'll even use RedNote.
Yeah, as a straight up protest. They will willingly give their information over to the CCP because they're saying that the fear that's being created about the CCP and about China by the U.S. government or propaganda, it's just not holding any weight because we're seeing how we're getting fucked over in the exact same way by our own companies.
Probably 85% of stuff you buy on Amazon is made in China.
Yeah.
People don't care if stuff's made in China. If this product is better and American consumers see it's better, it will overtake all these other American products, and then big tech is in big trouble. So this is a comparison someone made with the data between OpenAI and DeepSeek, and I'm assuming, I'm going to take their word for it that this is correct, but OpenAI spent 10 years, 4,500 employees, and $6.6 billion, and that's not even including $500 billion present from Donald Trump to Sam Altman. So
I gotta look into
that number
is
even
that
more for
is that actually going through? Or
for Project Stargate, for like this ridiculous notion that we're going to have teleportation or something by investing $500 billion in taxpayer money. And this is a Reddit post, supposedly from someone who works at Facebook. I can read it out here, saying, Meta Gen AI organization is in panic mode. It started with DeepSeek V3, which rendered the Llama 4, that's Facebook's model, behind in benchmarks. Adding insult to injury was the unknown Chinese company with $5.5 million in training budget. Engineers are moving frantically to dissect DeepSeek and copy anything we can from it. So now we're just copying the technology. So during the Cold War, they had to send Soviet spies over to the United States, supposedly. There's a lot of movies, fiction and nonfiction based on this.
Yes.
Where the U.S. was ahead in computing, so the Soviets would come over, get the schematics, and just port it over to
Same
their
thing
own.
with China.
We had,
to us, they would
back
send
then we
people over.
had superior scientists and engineers, and now we're in the Soviet position, but we didn't even have to send spies because they just did the power move of publishing it openly for free. So the Facebook engineers are now just, oh my God, we got to grab all this code to make sure our thing is just as good. Management is worried about justifying the massive cost of Gen AI organization. How could they face the leadership when every single leader of Gen AI is making more than what it costs to train DeepSeek V3 entirely? And we have dozens of such leaders. DeepSeek R1 made things even scarier. I can't reveal confidential info, but it will soon be public anyways. It should have been an engineering-focused small organization. But since a bunch of people want to join the impact grab and artificially inflate hiring in the organization, everyone loses. So there's major questions regarding how U.S. companies have handled this in terms of, if we're spending this much money, why are we behind? And I don't care if the Chinese number was secretly $1 billion because they had that many NVIDIA GPUs.
I'm thinking there's some fuckery going on with how they're presenting this.
That would still put them on par with how much U.S. companies are spending. But if anything, this is like the number one thing. This is the number one agenda. Like everywhere you look, you see ads for AI. Every sponsorship, it's AI. That's not for people because a lot of people don't care about it. It's for investors. It's to justify the purpose of this to investors and to make sure that, oh, my money's in a safe place. This is the future. I'm investing in the future.
Yeah, no, because what they're doing is they're presenting a narrative that our culture, our civilization functions the way it does because we now have AI ingrained into everything, and that without it, somehow we might slip into some sort of dark age that existed a year and a half ago, where everything was perfectly fine without it. So building up the importance of AI and the importance of winning this race and getting funding that will defeat the Chinese.
The belief is that it's so important, it's so vital, it's so necessary, we have to spend billions of dollars on it, you have to invest billions of dollars, and then all of a sudden China comes out and supposedly they spent $5 million, and the operational cost.
I don't believe that.
The operation. So the training cost is up in the air. That one is unprovable. But what people are seeing is the tokenization cost in terms of actually sending the data through and the processing cost of the requests.
Gotcha.
So you're a ChatGPT customer. You use it to work on some of your videos for research and accumulating data and sources, and you subscribe to ChatGPT Premium, so you know that you have to spend tokens in order to get an output on the system. And real engineers are looking into this. They're looking at the open source code, and they're seeing that the expense and the output, the power needs of the tokens is up to 50 times more efficient than ChatGPT. I don't know how you can write that off as a fluke and just cope that, oh, there's some kind of mistake, or they just don't know what they're talking about, or they're lying.
Well, I don't know yet because my brain is not trained in all this. I do have DeepSeek again. I have an account and I have been messing around with it. I want to compare the results just from the data collection and reasoning side of it to see the difference between how ChatGPT, OpenAI, will justify the way it collects its answers and gives you a result versus DeepSeek. Because on this video that I'm working on, I asked the same question to both of them, and I got two different answers and two different sets of reasoning for specifically about, well, I won't spoil it, but about deaths of a certain type. And they came up with two different answers, and I even challenged them both on it, and they doubled down. So it's using any of these for information, like fact checking or fact gathering, seems very sketchy in a way that maybe I don't know how to prompt it correctly, but how they can have wildly varying results even when you're trying to pinpoint in and ask it to double check itself. And what about this? Why did I get this result on this program and this result on this one? So I'll have to wait to see how this actually plays out. Let's keep moving through this.
So as a consequence of DeepSeek becoming known, there was a tremendous shock in the U.S. stock market, and there was a huge test of faith in U.S. tech in order to actually have them doing their jobs. And since then, there's been a pretty big bounce. A lot of the stocks have come back up.
Sure.
It seems like people have been regaining confidence. But it's certainly inauspicious to see this kind of shock to the system where China can come out with this one product and it has this much sway over the U.S. economy. Like trillions of dollars in market cap wiped out. It's like 600 billion in NVIDIA market cap wiped out alone. And it's worth noting, over the past year, NVIDIA has been climbing, like just rapid stock growth, because everyone knows that Gen AI is this huge thing and all this stuff is hugely GPU reliant. But then when China comes out on something and advertises that they can basically get these similar results by using 1/100th of the power, well, that makes the GPUs 1/100th as valuable.
So the stock
according
market
to investors.
did tank, and yeah, right. NVIDIA might be being seen as overvalued in general, and perhaps it'll pop. But it did drop, but it did come back up. So not to its fullness, but it's probably going to continue going up and probably be fine. They're going to make it work somehow. What's this? DeepSeek's R1 is now... This is all just the same thing.
Here's a pretty big cope out of Sam Altman, trying to pretend like, oh yeah, congratulations to DeepSeek, but you got to imagine he's seething behind the scenes, that he just had his big pompous $500 billion cash injection from federal funds for the supposed nonprofit, by the way. I don't know how that works, but he's trying to become like another Elon, where he's trying to be like a beloved tech celebrity by being such a great forward thinker.
He comes off very, very strange and false to me in any interview I see him in.
I mean, I just want to say more with Sam Altman. Clearly they were pissed because this whole time OpenAI has been doing an internal investigation trying to see if, did DeepSeek rip off our training data? And it's like, hey, guess what? Most training data is just stolen data anyway.
Right.
So, they stole something you stole? Keep coping, Sam Altman. But
then he killed an employee for whistleblowing about how they trained their models off of copyrighted data.
I don't know. Was that related to the Cash App guy? I don't recall.
No, I think it was just OpenAI a few months ago.
But anyway, that guy makes a good observation where you can, these guys in China, they run a hedge fund and they released an AI for everyone to use for free. But the supposed non-profit OpenAI charges $200 a month for their service, and now they're getting $500 billion in taxpayer money.
Yeah, something doesn't sit right about this.
There's
besides the obvious. I mean, the obvious is right there.
Now, Rusty, I guess you tested out OpenAI, and
going back to the
or you tested out DeepSeek.
Right, DeepSeek, and so as people have pointed out, this is the Chinese controlled version that's subject to their censorship. So I was just asking a couple questions, see what the hype was all about. So I was asking it, what was the Tiananmen Square massacre? Just so you can see how the censorship does work on DeepSeek's website.
But again, I should reiterate that this is exactly the same thing that happens on very accessible US products like Google Gemini. When you try to ask it literally anything about the election,
ChatGPT
Trump,
as well.
Political figures, they shut it down completely. So this is nothing new.
Yeah, no, it isn't. It made me think that it was overhyped, but again, I'm underselling the open source aspect of it. So I want to see that in practice more.
Theoretically, if it is truly open source, anyone should be able to just copy the source code and run it on a server that's not Chinese controlled, and then it could answer all of these questions honestly.
Yes.
But basically,
can we take Can we?
We'll take a break before going to the pop culture segment. But before we go, I have a little bit more to say about this DeepSeek thing. A lot of people, primarily investors, are trying to downplay it. They're trying to act like, oh, it's no big deal. Oh, China lied. Oh, they have to have had 10 billion GPUs to actually pull this off, and that would have put their expenses way higher than what they said. I really think that you should be concerned that a crack team of Chinese people came out of nowhere, and they made something that, as far as all the benchmarks are laid out for us, is superior to U.S. technology. This wasn't even a question 10 years ago. China was always the country that would just copy and paste U.S. sources and make their own version. They took YouTube and made it Bilibili. They took Facebook Messenger and made it QQ. And now it's been 10 years and we really have done nothing with our advantage, it seems. I mean, if these guys can just come out, and there's going to be more AI in China. You think this is going to be the only one?
No, there was another one that Alibaba had just put out that they said was more powerful than... In fact, it's right here. I'm going to come back to this. I just asked DeepSeek about myself. Alibaba releases AI model. It says surpasses DeepSeek.
Yeah, keep in mind...
Whatever. They said they did that.
This DeepSeek was a side project from a hedge fund.
Yes.
Think about what the actual big tech companies, like what is it? There's Alibaba, there's Tencent, there's what was the thing with all the phones that were getting banned? Huawei.
Right.
I'm sure all these tech companies have their own systems in development, and they actually have more engineers than DeepSeek.
So
they have more funding.
I asked DeepSeek, who is Rusty Cage, and this is probably just something they pulled from YouTube Wiki. As a multifaceted artist known for his work as a musician, songwriter, and YouTuber, he gained significant popularity through his YouTube channel, where he posts original music covers, various blah, 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 blah. One of his most well-known songs is Knives, Guns, and Bed.
Is that a real song?
Which has garnered millions of views on YouTube. No, I'm not familiar with the song Knives, Guns, and Bed. Is also recognized for How to Make a Song series, which I've never made a How to Make a Song series, where he humorously and creatively explains the process of songwriting and music production. Now, to you, I know to me what this seems like is it's doing the exact same fucking dumb shit that ChatGPT does, where it just makes up answers.
When it doesn't have something in the training data, it just takes a guess that sounds plausible.
Yeah, that's terrible. This is it's wrong 30 to 40 times.
It's not talking about what has happened. It's talking about what will happen.
I guess I'll get on it. So that's Knives, Guns, and Bed.
But anyway, I just wanted to say that this is not good news if you're an American. Beyond just the pride aspects of saying like, yeah, we live in the worldwide leader in tech as a nation, this is potentially profound and long-lasting effects on the stock market, on the valuation of U.S. companies, because the U.S. at this point is so heavily leveraged in just this necessity that the stock market must go up. Everyone's retirement funds, pensions, everything. It's just wealth has been stripped away from people and put into the stock market. So if the stock market, which is for the past 10 years or so has predominantly been uplifted by big tech, Google, Facebook, Apple, and now the primary belle of the ball for big tech over these past 4 years has been AI, and China is beating us in that, what exactly do you think is going to happen to the future valuation of U.S. companies? It's not good news, and hopefully, maybe it's a fluke, but something tells me that
there could be power shifts. It's always going to happen. There's going to be power shifts in business and production, but it's business goes internationally, and people will figure out how to work with each other to make money while taking money from their own citizens. So I think it'll be okay.
All right. Well, let's see what DeepSeek and the CCP knows about me. Emperor Lemon is a popular YouTuber known for his unique and often surreal video essays, analysis, and montages. He gained a significant following for his content related to pop culture, internet memes, and various niche topics. His videos often feature a mix of humor, deep dives into obscure subjects, and distinctive editing style that sets him apart from other creators. It's not too far off at this point. One of his most well-known series is YTPMV, YouTube Poop Music Video, where he creates remixes and mashups of various media, often resulting in bizarre and entertaining content.
Now, is that real?
It's YTPs, but
Just
they got
YouTube Poop.
it mixed up with YTPMV,
Right.
which is making like songs out of YouTube poop sources.
Okay, but that is a real genre of videos.
Yes, that is a real thing. Emperor Lemon has also produced videos on topics ranging from the history of internet memes, welcome back to Behind the Meme, to analysis of cartoons and video games. Emperor Lemon's work has been influential in the online community, particularly among fans of internet culture and meme history. Despite facing some controversies and challenges, including temporary bans from YouTube, I did get removed from the partner program.
Just recently?
No, that was like 3 years ago, but that was definitely a thing. He has maintained a dedicated fan base and continues to produce content that pushes the boundaries of traditional video essays and online entertainment. Pretty accurate. That's like a 80% score from me.
Okay.
That's a B- description. So
yeah, see if these all check out. These all just seem like a little milquetoast.
Well, this thing, I mean, it's better than what ChatGPT and Google Gemini were coming up with. I can tell you that.
Right.
It's way more on point.
Well, didn't they say that I died in 2014?
Yeah, I sent you a screenshot of that. I think that was Google Gemini. We don't have it here in our files, but I believe I asked Google Gemini to tell me about the YouTuber Rusty Cage, and they said you died in 2014.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
So,
well, all right. Well, before we get into the tail end of this stream, because it's going on for a while, I'm getting fucking hungry.
We'll have another break. We got a lighter segment ahead this time, but yeah. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the show. That's our conversation about DeepSeek, and we'll be back shortly. We've queued up the second round of Emp and Rusty in the Morning. You're watching The Emp and Rusty Show.
Emp and Rusty in the morning.
Real guys, real uncensored opinions.
We're two guys who think that our politicians might be getting a little too old.
We're two guys who think if trans women want to use men's bathrooms, then they better know how to use a glory hole.
We're two guys who are sick and tired of Chipotle constantly being out of ingredients.
We're two guys who think grocery stores should pay us if they want their shopping carts returned.
We're two guys who think that if you fart in an elevator, you deserve to be strangled to death with piano wire.
Oh, come on, guys.
We're two guys who think participation trophies should be engraved with the word loser.
We're two guys who think that Harambe is burning in hell right now.
We're two guys who think vegans should have to pay a meat tax for holding up the line with their stupid orders.
Wait, no.
We're two guys who think that all Nissan Altima drivers deserve to be deported.
We're two guys who think fat people should have to park in the back of the parking lot to get the exercise.
We're two guys who think George Floyd should be added to Mount Rushmore.
We're two guys who think if you hate capitalism so much, you shouldn't be able to use a smartphone.
We're two guys who think that those Gaza children had to go.
Don't say that.
We're two guys who think if you get offended by our opinions, it's time to put down the soy latte and join the army.
We're two guys who think that Andrew Jackson should be kicked off the 20 and replaced with Dr. Fauci.
We're two guys that think if black people hate the N-word so much, they should either stop saying it in rap songs or let everyone say it.
No, that's not true.
We're two guys who think that Ukraine hasn't received enough money.
We're two guys who think if you're not willing to do the time, then you shouldn't do the crime.
We're two guys who think that if you hate Elon Musk, then you hate science.
We're two guys who think a woman is a woman no matter what body she's born.
Emp and Rusty in the morning.
All right, I'm not gonna lie, this kind of sucks. So think I'm going to try to do something to make this a little bit more entertaining for everyone. Thanks for the submission, but yeah, this is stupid as shit.
Dylan, what's that legit, Dylan? Holy fuck! Oh my god! Oh my god!
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Got a little audio lag. I was told I should cut that segment short, just in case we get in some sort of trouble on this live segment. I thought the whole point of the live was to do whatever we wanted. I can cut it out for the clips and the VOD uploads that go up on the Rusty Cage Clips channel.
Well, everyone, thank you for the submissions. We greatly appreciate them, even though sometimes a few edits have to be made to make it more palatable to the show. But this was originally a segment intended for last week's show, but I guess we might as well continue here. We are going to have a new segment here called What's New in Pop Culture.
I don't remember signing off on any new segments about what's new in pop culture.
No, Rusty, the people want to hear our opinions on the latest movies and TV shows on the market.
You just want to yap about shit that you like because you don't want to post it on your channel. You have a whole channel set up where you can talk about whatever you want, but you want to do it on the show rather than on your...
No, this is about giving people a treat in this live environment so they can hear our honest-to-God first reactions on some of this stuff.
All right, guys, we'll get ready for another 3 hours of talking about pop culture.
No, it won't last that long, but we'll try to get through it rather expediently. So new is an asterisk because some of this stuff is not new anymore because this is supposed to go on the show 9 days ago.
This is supposed to go on your channel. Why are we talking about shit that's not even new?
No, because we can both talk about it, Rusty. It's a collaborative effort.
All right, let's see. What's going on here?
So Squid Game Season 2 got released. Oh, what, you're just not going to contribute? You don't like Squid Game? What exactly is the problem with Squid Game?
I maybe watched the first season of it. I thought it's just, I don't know. I don't really care for any of these shows anymore. These like Netflix shows. It all just seems redundant, dramatic themes. I get it, he's poor, but do I want to watch a second version of it? There's no rewatch factor for even the first season. It's like making a sequel to a movie that shouldn't need a sequel. It's already done.
Yeah, I thought Squid Game Season 1 was already a pretty contained story in and of itself. I watched Season 2. I thought it surpassed Season 1 in several aspects. I think a lot of the set pieces were really cool, and all this stuff with like Squid Game spin-offs, like the Mr. Beast games, or we're doing Squid Game for real. Like, didn't Netflix do a real Squid Game? It's all kind of I don't know what you think about that, but I think it's all kind of silly because the point of Squid Game is that people are brutally killed for losing the games.
Yeah,
that's what makes it compelling.
It's a dystopian satire of what it actually is. It's a show about the gladiator fights that mocks the idea that people in their own shamble, destroyed cultures are having to rely on this dystopian entertainment in order to pacify their urges to want to rebel. It's the same thing as The Running Man, as the actual gladiator fights.
So do you think Squid Game at least is conceptually cool?
I guess it's all right. I mean, is it terribly even a new concept? You win a lot of money, but you have to risk your life in some sort of video game, or not video game, but like a TV show style challenge that's been done over and over and over again.
I think Squid Game is unique in that it presents like this Hunger Games style dystopian fight to the death situation.
Yeah, there you go, Hunger Games. But what was that based on? There was the other one.
But that's like a dystopian society. Squid Game is set contemporaneously with our own present day society. Diegetically speaking, it's supposed to be existing like right now in Korea on some mysterious island, and everyone else is none the wiser.
Do you know anything about the story of that one guy who lived inside, I think it was in Japan, and he lived inside of an apartment as a part of some sort of game show for a year, and he had to be all the food had to be sent into him, and he just, I forget, it's some fucking weird shit, but it inspired the movie Old Boy to some degree, about being in complete isolation inside of an apartment for a long period of time. This guy did it for a TV show, maybe in the 80s. I shouldn't talk about it without, I don't want to edge the audience into nothing.
Wait, Wesley, maybe you can give Squid Game another chance.
All right, let's
let us
see,
know in the chat what you thought about Squid Game Season 2.
How many booms would you give Squid Game?
Booms? What, we're ranking them now?
Yeah.
I'd probably give it 7 booms out of 10.
All right, let's go.
Boom! 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 Boom!
Is that 7?
I think that was 7.
All right. That's all you get.
Rusty, I'm voting to kick you off the show.
Yeah?
That's a Squid Game Season 2
Wait,
reference.
it's pop culture.
It's pop culture. Nosferatu came out.
And another thing. Who makes these slideshows? What, you can't take the extra second to reframe this for our audience?
It's supposed to be using minimalist framing and negative space.
I created this entire graphic to fill it up.
You created the movie poster for Nosferatu?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, I haven't seen Nosferatu yet. I really want to see it. Because I do like Robert Egger. I love The Vivitch. That movie was good.
Lighthouse was good.
Creepy. Yeah, Lighthouse was as well.
The Northman was okay.
I didn't like The Northman.
But I really like Nosferatu. I thought it was better than The Lighthouse. I thought it was a more complete film than The Lighthouse. But The Lighthouse has really cool parts of it. But
so Robert Egger and Ari Aster, they're probably some of the best up-and-coming directors, especially in the horror genre, which I guess is what you would put them in. But like Ari Aster did Hereditary and Midsommar, while Robert Egger's doing The Vivitch, The Witch, Nosferatu, Lighthouse, some other things. I hope they don't ruin these directors, because The Witch was so good. It was creepy as fuck in a way that it seemed like it was based on source material that was written, or like an old Brothers Grimm fairy tale from whenever they existed. But it wasn't. It was like he just used elements of that and then put them in The Witch. So I really like The Witch. I want to see Nosferatu. I want to see what he has to do with it. I just hope they don't pimp them out in the same way that they did with the Joker.
they make Nosferatu lame?
Yeah, they're going to neuter them at some point.
They make him not scary?
Make him get raped in prison.
Oh, there's a lot of rape in Nosferatu.
Oh, okay. Well.
But I think it's...
Who's doing the raping? Nosferatu?
Nosferatu's doing most of the raping.
I knew he was a bad guy.
Also, here's a spoiler. I think Nosferatu might be Dracula.
Oh, fuck. Is he Count Dracula? Vlad the Impaler?
Possibly.
Well, I guess I'll have to see it and do an hour and a half long stream just talking about my thoughts. Or I could film it in theaters.
Right. Some people didn't like the movie. I've heard some reviews saying that the 1922 Nosferatu was better.
The one where they didn't talk?
I haven't seen that one. That's like a really specific film history. Like, if you care about silent films and that type of stuff, which I do respect, but it's like a big time commitment to go out of the way to watch all these really old-fashioned movies.
This is what the problem with Gen Z is in lower generations.
What, not watching a movie that came out 75 years before I was born?
Gen Z doesn't know anything about what happened before their first memories on the internet.
Gen Z knows more about Nosferatu than any other generation alive.
Yeah, because it just came out.
No, because he was in SpongeBob.
This is the fucking weird thing about SpongeBob to Gen Z. SpongeBob is like a holy book that came out.
SpongeBob is a Bible.
SpongeBob is the fucking Mormonism of cartoons for Gen Z.
There's a scene in SpongeBob that applies to every single situation in life.
Right. Are you going through some troubles in your life? Are you experiencing something that you don't know the answers to or how to respond to? Well, there happens to be passage in this SpongeBob episode that you can watch where he makes fun of this exact situation. I get it. It was groundbreaking. Listen, I was 9 years old when SpongeBob came out. I was a SpongeBob F-word. I went under the sink, I moved past all the chemicals, and I grabbed a yellow sponge that looked exactly like the sponge that SpongeBob was supposed to be, and with a marker, I drew eyes on it and a face, and I carried it around like fucking Plank, the way Johnny 2x4 would in Ed, Edd n Eddy, and I had a SpongeBob action figure. This is the premiere of SpongeBob, 1999, and I had a toy sponge. I think I wasn't diagnosed properly for something that I should have been treated for.
Yeah, thankfully they medicated it out of you, and you for some reason don't like SpongeBob today. Well, I consider it an all-time classic because they had Nosferatu in an episode, and when I was 5 years old when that episode came out, I had no idea what the fuck Nosferatu was, but now, 20-something years later, I can go watch a Robert Eggers movie in the theaters.
Here's Gen Z.
And I recognize the name Nosferatu.
Nosferatu? Oh, like from SpongeBob? They stole that from SpongeBob. Oh, I don't know who this Paul McCartney guy is, but Kanye West is about to make him very popular.
That song was awful, by the way.
I have not actually heard
the Paul McCartney song where he worked with like Rihanna and Kanye West. Yeah, that's going to be for a future topic of songs that should not exist. But anyway, Rusty, any closing thoughts on Nosferatu, a movie you somehow have not seen yet, despite being a fan of Robert Eggers?
No, but I will see it, and I will. Okay, so another movie. What is this?
This has been the sleeper movie of the year. It's something that came out a little early in 2024, and it's slowly been gaining traction as a bit of a cult classic.
Now, what does that say? Is that Margaret
Qualley?
I'm not familiar with her, but isn't both her and Demi Moore up for an Academy Award?
This movie has been nominated for a lot of awards. It has become
Dennis Quaid is fucking back.
Yeah, I'm not really that much of an encyclopedia when it comes to various actors and their careers.
People have mentioned that before because we talked about movies on this podcast before, and every movie I mentioned you didn't watch, and I want to play that clip at some point.
But then
of you on the Sam Hyde stream where they're talking about Mel Gibson and his historic Hollywood breakdown.
Oh yeah, Rusty, you wish it was you.
And then
in
I
that
know,
chair.
and then they ask you, they're like, "Well, what do you think, Emperor Lemmy?" You're like, "It's like 45 minutes of them
these
talking
are
about
movies that came out from before I was born."
Mel Gibson.
But now, okay, but we're talking about these movies that just came out and are modern classics, and you haven't seen them.
Are we being paid for this?
So how do you react to that? No. The people want to know.
Fuck The Substance.
You hate The Substance?
Shitty movie. Fuck this movie.
The Substance was a modern classic.
I've not seen it.
A modern horror classic. Very disgusting. I would not recommend eating any food while watching this movie.
And this is body horror?
It's a body horror movie about becoming literally a shell of a woman. It's a woman-directed movie. One of the best I've seen, by the way.
Oh, by Mubi.
Coralie Fargiat.
All right, now let me ask you this, and be honest. How many body horror movies can you name besides this and The Thing?
The Fly.
Okay, that's very good. Very good. The Fly is a solid body horror movie. That's a important one.
Does Teen Wolf count?
I think so. All right, you know what? Let's just get back to...
Also, the scene at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark where the guy opens the Ark of the Covenant and gets his face melted off.
Was that like practical effects?
Yeah, they melted like a wax dummy with a blowtorch. Anyway, The Substance is far more disgusting than anything else I've possibly ever seen on film.
I feel bad. I mean, I am being combative for zero reason. But
it's just because you haven't actually watched these movies, so I
don't understand the nature of this segment where this is like in cinema on the cinema, but where half of the two people have not seen any of them. Okay, I'll watch them, and then we can do this segment again.
All right, now here's something that's more up your alley, Rusty. Sonic 3.
Hold on, let me resize this for the audience.
Like they can't fucking see the poster when it's slightly smaller. Is this really necessary?
Now, let me tell you, you want to talk about Sonic? When I was 9 years old in 1999, I used to find dead moles because I grew up on a farm, and we used to have to stomp. I used to get paid by my father to stomp on molehills to try to crush them down because they would eat all of our crops. And every once in a while, we would come across a dead mole. And so I got a dead mole, and I loved Shadow so much that I had one of these dead moles.
Hey, well, he's in this movie.
I know. I spray painted it black, and I used to drew like a little red.
Aren't moles already black? They have like black.
No, they're like gray, and they have big hands. But I pretty much had I had 3 moles. I had a yellow one, even though I know it's supposed to be a fox. I had a blue one that was Sonic, and I had a black one and a red one that was Knuckles. So I had 4 dead moles spray painted different colors, and I used to make them race around and like tumble through.
And they weren't like rancid. How do you preserve them?
I mean, you probably have about a good. They're small-bodied animals, so there's not a lot of expansion that's going to happen from the sun. You have a good 4 days before you can get rid of them.
Well, Rusty, that's probably still one of the least autistic things that Sonic fans tend to do on a regular basis. Have you seen that these movies have contributed to a renaissance of Sonic fans on the internet? They used to be pretty down bad for a very long time. After years and years of awful games and neglect from Sega, I remember when I first started on the internet, like the most annoying people, like the most annoying subgroups were like weebs and then furries and then Sonic fans.
Because there was something about the Sonic fans that were worse than the furries.
There's a lot of overlap, but Sonic fans, like this is like the Chris Chan category of people. That's the people that were being discussed back then as like a lot of man children with autistic fixations would gravitate towards Sonic the Hedgehog. And basically what would end up happening is that the Sonic fan base, when I first started on the internet, had like this reputation of being like extremely myopic and toxic and hostile to deal with. But then My Little Pony came out, and I don't know if like the bronies absorbed temporarily all the Sonic fans, but like all the Sonic, both the Sonic fandom and the Sonic hate went into like a little hole, much like a shrew or a mole in your yard.
Yeah,
it went underground.
It was because something worse came out, and that was like the cloppers, the people who were masturbating.
The bronies, the most obviously like insipid fandom group, completely overshadowed the Sonic people. And then all of a sudden, everyone forgot about the Sonic fandom. They were still around, but they were just really down bad for a while. And then these movies started coming out, and we've been having a Sonic fan renaissance where they've been empowered enough again to start coming out of the woodwork and once again contributing to internet discourse. So how many Sonic characters could possibly be in this poll for who's the hottest? So we have to have Sonic, okay, Shadow, easy win, Tails. Tails, he's gay. Yeah, well, some people are into that. And then there a lady, is it Knuckles? Amy. Oh, I guess you put Knuckles. See, that's what I'm saying. There's not enough options because you can't put in Robotnik. Oh, Eggman. I remember him as Robotnik from the YouTube poop days. Back when they had the old Sonic cartoon, the localization, they still called him Robotnik, even though he's supposed to be called Eggman in the West. I don't remember how that shifted. We did get our results back from the weekdays, and it said like which day that we should stream, and we had a 41% saying on the weekend. But it's a pretty split plurality, so I don't know. Maybe we'll take a look at that. Anyway, so that's what I have to say about Sonic. I haven't seen the movie, but I think it's interesting that Sonic is becoming so relevant once again. I think these films have single-handedly revitalized Sonic as a brand. They could just make a good video game. They don't have to do this. But this is also one that brought Jim Carrey out of retirement. Yeah, he got canceled by the Hollywood establishment for having unsavory opinions or something like that, right?
Yeah, he got canceled because he's probably doing the same shit that Ashton Kutcher is doing, where he's like, oh, I've always hated Hollywood. Hollywood's no good. It's full of a bunch of creeps and liars and fakes. And he's getting ahead of the story, which is Jim Carrey has been hanging out with P. Diddy for decades, the way that's going with Ashton Kutcher. You know, Ashton Kutcher's like, oh, I'm working with Congress to try to, we need to stop child sex trafficking, especially in Hollywood.
I heard he's good in these movies. Like, he's actually trying really hard to put in a good performance.
We should do another live stream where we just watch it, copyright free. Okay, let's keep moving.
So this is like some new shit. I just want you to play the first 9 seconds of this. Okay. So this is what Pixar's
Here you
been
go,
working
Frank.
on.
Your single soy latte.
Whoa.
Extra hot.
Wow. Thanks, Lena.
See you tomorrow, hopefully.
Do you want to have coffee with...
Oh,
All right, you can stop it.
man,
you probably don't want to.
Black.
Oh my god.
I was trying to get you
No, we're gonna get copyright claim. Okay. Pixar, the once proud, prestigious entertainment studio. I'm sure this is gonna be. It's a show, not a movie. It's like a Disney Plus series. I'm sure it's gonna have plenty of good, wholesome lessons for adults who like to watch Bluey with their kids. But
now, was the soy latte line, was that supposed to be kind of tossing shade, calling out its own criticism, getting ahead of the curb in the same sense? Like, they know that this is going to get called out for being lame as fuck, a little bit milquetoast, and so they want to add the soy latte in so that whenever people like me go, oh, look, they said soy latte, this is so soy, then go, oh, he obviously doesn't get that was an inside joke.
I'm just wondering, like, why do Pixar character designs have to look so ugly and non-distinct now?
Yeah, you were mentioning
this
that.
Is like these people look like fucking Roblox characters. I mean, I understand that this is a show, so they have to have Lego hair, and they can't spend like 11 billion hours rendering out Sully's individual hair particles or whatever. But
they can at least try. They can give a Chad jaw to one of these gentlemen.
The Incredibles came out in 2004 when the technology was far more limited than it is today, and all the character designs in the Incredibles are very distinct, visually striking, and memorable. Like, the characters have very memorable and strong silhouettes that go with their characters. And now it seems like every Pixar project now, the people just have to be like big blob people with a bulbous nose and just like...
Well, this is
like
this
a
is
Lego face. It's just ridiculous.
It's very similar to what happened with general animation, Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, which John Kay, the now disgraced creator of Ren and Stimpy, who was very popular because he was an insanely good animator. No repeating frames. Every frame needs to look different.
Yeah, very much a perfectionist.
So he called out and labeled the new animation style of CalArts.
CalArts,
yeah. Yeah, which was the same type of thing. Everything looks like it's from the same production house. It's all non-distinct. It feels lifeless and blocky.
You know what it is? It's like they call it the Globo Homo style, which is
I like that.
It's the generic, like the generic corporate vector art that you see on like Google blog posts,
right?
Where like the people aren't allowed to have any distinct features that correspond to race or gender or like anything actually identifiable about individual people and how people look unique. Everyone has to be like this rounded off, glossy 2D blob creature.
Well, they do this with everything. They do it with video games as well. They're infantilizing
they're
making everything for fucking babies. Like Mario is supposed to be like a 5-year-old. They're making him like a toddler who there's no challenges to the game. They just simplify him more and more. They simplify all this art more and more. Yeah, it's appealing to younger and younger audiences. Perhaps as men in our late 20s and 30s, it isn't up to us to complain too much about cartoons.
I mean, Mario's one thing. Mario's like boilerplate, ubiquitous corporate mascot, like much the same way Mickey Mouse is at this point. So they have to generate mass appeal. Pixar could just freaking make whatever they want, and they choose to make this, which is why it's extraordinarily frustrating. People are like clowning this, I guess, non-binary barista with no nose.
That's accurate, though.
Dude, like these... Pixar has lost... I know they made a shit ton of money with Inside Out 2, which is not a good precedent, but whatever. I'm sure some of us will watch this series and let us know.
Okay, so this is the big one.
Monkey Jones. This is the reason he's too busy to be on our show. He's been made into a live-action biopic.
I've been having fun watching the criticisms of Robbie Williams, this pop star who's apparently very, very, very popular in the UK, but for some reason, 99.9% of Americans have never heard of him. And so this comes off insanely pretentious. This whole movie where it's a biopic about his life that cost like $100 million. It was by the same director who directed what was that movie?
Bohemian Rhapsody?
No, Bohemian Rhapsody was Bryan Singer, the pedophile rapist. This was the guy, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Everything Everywhere All... Wait, that's the same guy?
I think so.
Oh, wow. What happened to all the hype for that? The Wholesome Chungus. Oh, no.
So I've never heard of Robbie Williams. Everyone's like, no, you certainly, if you're alive in the 90s, you would remember some of his hit songs.
So that's I'm guessing he was in Britpop, because I'm not familiar with him either, but I do know Damon Albarn of the Gorillaz.
I know Damon Albarn, yeah. We all know Blur. We know Oasis, and we know Damon Albarn.
Why didn't they make this a fucking Gorillaz movie? They had the technology.
Yeah, they easily could have, but I guess Robbie Williams is a multi record selling artist who's huge over there. It just doesn't translate. Everyone who I've seen listen to his music, like trying to, and I've done this myself, the most uninspiring bullshit, corny, fucking beans on toast style of music. Someone compared them to America's version of Maroon 5. Just something that would
But it was in the 90s.
Yeah, and so he's a rock star over there. We know the rock stars from over there. We know the Beatles. We know the Rolling Stones. We have tons of British rock stars. Robbie Williams is not one of them. He makes stupid fucking boring shit, and he made... Did he fund this with his own money? Whose idea was it to create a $100 million budget project about a guy that no one knows about? And what's even funnier is they showed it in America first... in our theater circuit, and everyone said, what the fuck is this? So no one watched it, and then they went, oh no, oh fuck. And then they pulled it from everywhere. They're like, no, it's a bomb. So this is probably money laundering.
So did it flop and then they turned him into a monkey?
No. So Robbie Williams, not Robin Williams, which we already have an American hero named Robin Williams, so it's already not looking good. Robbie Williams said in some interview, or maybe several interviews, that he always felt like he was a dancing monkey. You know, he was put on stage, even though he was incredibly popular and probably wrote songs that he was into, he always felt like a monkey. So they made him this metaphorical, monkey that looks exactly like another very, very popular American franchise, Planet of the Apes. This is clearly Caesar from Planet of the Apes.
How different can you possibly make an anthropomorphic chimpanzee look?
Don't do it.
I know. You know what's funny, Rusty? Everyone who's seen this movie has given it a good review.
Really?
Or at least I've heard a lot of great things about this movie.
How many people have seen this movie?
I can't bear to watch it because it's very conceptually silly. Just at face value, you're telling me to watch a movie where it's a pop star, but you made him a monkey. And I understand I'm being hypocritical because I'm someone who always calls for more innovation in Hollywood. But this is just something that's unappealing. I'm sorry. And I'm sure maybe if one day I will sit down and watch it and see, like, what was all the hype of this, like, horrific $100 million box office bomb? I'm sure him being a monkey has some pertinent role to the thematic composition of the story, but it's just like a marketing failure. You needed to, I don't know, you maybe make him being a monkey a twist and not put that in the promotional material.
Yeah. There should have been something that would make that a little bit.
It's got great reviews.
Right. Roy, by how many fucking people and from which demographics? This is normally what you would see if you know that these are just fraudulent views. Let's just click on this. I want to see how many Brits are shitting their pants. 11,000. This is a blockbuster $100 million production. This seems like it's a piece of shit. Probably caked these likes. And this is all 11,000 people in England who all said, no, Robbie, this should have a 10. And they couldn't even agree on it. It's only a 7.7. Because no one in America voted for this. No one rated this movie at all. No one even saw it. They said, the 10 people that did said, what the fuck is this?
To be fair, a 7.7 on IMDb is quite good. Some of the best movies of all time are rated like a 7.3 because IMDb movie reviewers can't figure out what's a good fucking movie or not.
They're gonna take this. I guarantee. Check this review in one more month. Check it in one more month, and that's not going to be a 7.7. That's going to be a 4.5. Because this is still, the movie's still somewhat, they're trying to make some money.
They're pulling it from theaters. Isn't that what that tweet was trying to say? I don't think it's going to get that many more exposures. The rating's probably going to stay like, I think it has a higher rating than Nosferatu, actually.
Yeah, it's probably a better movie. Robbie Williams acting like a monkey, fucking a monkey. Dang, I really want to play the clips where they're showing like all the promos for it. Maybe we can get away with one of them. For the next 2 hours, I'll have your ass. And then plays like, let's see here.
So you have seen the trailers. I haven't even seen the trailer for this.
I've been trying to follow this for
I barely knew this existed until I saw that it was getting revoked from theaters for being such a horrible box office bomb.
I love this story.
Hey, the trailer has a lot of views.
I should be able to watch this, right?
No, I think trailers get copyright claimed, unfortunately.
Fuck you, Paramount. We're trying to promote your stupid movie.
Just scrub through it and don't let it play continuously.
I want to hear that one.
I don't see 2 hours.
There we go.
Whoa.
For the next 2 hours, your ass is mine. To be honest,
look how shitty those graphics look. Holy shit. I'll turn the volume down. Maybe that'll help us. But look at this rendering.
I've always been a little less evolved. I don't wanna rock, so let's 2 hours. How others see it. For the next 2 hours, your ass is mine. To be honest,
$100 million. Money laundered. I hear that they don't release any movies. They actually want to make money in January. That's where they release all their busts. Yeah. That's how they write off all their losses. That's when
the studio loses faith. But sometimes good stuff comes out in January because they're off on it. And maybe this is one of those, but something worth revisiting in the future.
Yes. And maybe I'm going to set up a fucking Rumble. Because I want to say, right now, I'm ready to go for another 3 hours of just watching Robbie Williams music videos and shitting on it to an audience of 12 people. I don't care who's watching.
Yeah, maybe that's something we can do in the future.
All right. Let's get through this.
On to more prosperous ventures.
Switch to
Nintendo. I love Nintendo.
Yeah, we have to do that as well. Should we do that right now?
I should have brought some Soylent to the studio.
Well, we need to get reactions for the clips. We'll have to do that at the end. We'll do some soy shit. So Nintendo Switch 2 is finally coming out. Nintendo Switch 1 was decent.
It sold very well.
Yeah, it did, and it came out with several good games. The Legend of Zelda games.
It definitely won the generation on the console wars, if anyone even cares about that anymore.
Was that competing with
PS5?
With PS5.
And Xbox Series S.
It came out staggered, though. It came out before PS5.
But that's how it's been for the last few cycles. Nintendo comes out with the Wii, and then the PS3, and then the Xbox 360 come out, and they're more powerful. And usually they have more games, but not in the case of the PS5.
The good thing about the Switch had a good amount of decent games on it. I would say all these systems have less and less good games over the period of time that they're in production. The problem with the Switch and what this looks like, is this an actual graphic?
This is the real promotional material.
It just looks like the Switch, but they might have maybe fixed the connectivity issues.
Beefed up the performance, made so the Joy-Cons aren't completely defective pieces of shit technology.
Yeah, that would be great if they could do that. All right, well then, so I'm not going to buy a PS5. I was thinking about it, but unless...
You tried to buy it at Target while we were out in Orlando, but... You discovered there was like one that had a disc drive and it was like $80 more expensive, and it completely threw you off the entire purchase.
No, I'm waiting for GTA 6.
Mm-hmm.
That will sell me on a PS5 or a PS6.
Well, you better order now because it's just going to go into a shortage again now that one useful game is coming out for the PS5.
And then, a year later, they're going to have a beefed up, better version for the PS6 that can actually handle all the rendering. So either I don't get to play it, I waste a shitload of money on a system that I'm going to have to throw away or like dump in some lake somewhere. So, all right, well, what's going on with the fucking PS?
In the Nintendo Switch 2 announced trailer, they appeared to show footage of what is the upcoming title, Mario Kart 9. Oh!
I've never been a fan.
It's Mario. You know, Mario Kart is actually my favorite Nintendo franchise. I love Mario Kart.
Yeah, the first time that we hung out, I think you just came over and played Mario Kart, and then we didn't talk at all. You were just playing Mario Kart on Switch. You have an account on my Switch just for Mario Kart.
Well, we're about to have one for this new game. I'm assuming they're going to release it like for the Switch and Switch 2, and the Switch 2 will probably have more features. Like that's what, because the original Breath of the Wild, I think they did that where it was a simultaneous release on the Wii U and the Switch, which was new at the time.
They use a shitty game, a staple game like Mario Kart, which has not changed at all since probably Mario Kart 3.
No, they added Purple Mini Turbo, they added bikes, they had wheelies in Mario Kart Wii. The based Mario Kart.
All that shit already existed on Diddy Kong Racing in the 90s.
Yeah, but Diddy is disgraced now, so we obviously can't go back to that well.
Wait, you're saying that Diddy Kong might be implicated in some sex Hollywood crimes?
Yeah, I think the entire Kong family, because if you look at the next slide here...
George Floyd Kong?
They had to replace Donkey Kong with whoever this new imposter is.
What is this?
Look at it. That's the new Donkey Kong design in the new Mario Kart. What, did they let Pixar design him? It's supposed to reflect the character design of freaking the Seth Rogen Donkey Kong from the irrelevant Who Gives a Shit Mario movie that no one talks about anymore.
I kind of want to see now what the design history of Donkey Kong has been. Is this a throwback to an older design?
No, they're trying to emulate the specific design they used in the Mario movie.
To make him goofy. He's supposed to be an evil villain, but again, this is what I was saying. The making everything for fucking babies. They can't have this evil face.
No, Rusty, I'll be playing the new Mario Kart as a man.
Okay.
It's very adult and manly to play Mario Kart and to troll children by hitting them with a star repeatedly.
Right, giving them power. You throw a banana peel and it's going to say, that's littering. Don't do that anymore. Because this is for the moral infancy.
Yeah. Mario Kart's going to go woke.
Yes. Have you played Mario Galaxy?
Dude, Mario Galaxy. Or Odyssey? I've not played Odyssey. Galaxy is one of the greatest games of all time.
Galaxy was fun. Yeah, I meant Odyssey.
I have not played Odyssey.
Okay. All right. Well, looks like they massacred the boy. Oh, God. So
they've been waiting this whole show for us to talk about this, Rusty.
I know.
Let's get into it. Creator Clash 3 has been announced. Rusty, how are both of us going to get into this one when we have already made it on Anissa's Do Not Resuscitate list?
I am actually wondering, because I do enjoy going to the Creator Clash events, mainly to hang out with fellow creators
to ruin Anissa's expensive gala on money that should have been spent on charity.
Now, I said I wanted to talk about my side of this story tonight. It's late now, but maybe we should save it as this event gets closer. But yes, it does seem that Creator Clash has announced Creator Clash 3. I don't know where it's going to be. I do plan on going, and I do plan on sneaking in.
I believe they're trying to have
No, I'm not sneaking. I didn't sneak into the first one. Fucking bitch. I got in legitimately. I'll explain later.
For those who don't know what we're discussing, we are referring to this clip of Anissa very frustratingly talking about Rusty Cage.
Should we play it again?
We should play it again, just for the fans' amusement here, just to once again remind everyone why we're here.
Yeah, so Creator Clash, created by iDubbbz and iDubbbz's girlfriend and whoever else. They had Creator Clash 1 and 2. It's a bunch of influencers, a lot of them, some popular, some has been, and they box each other.
Well, to relay the story, folks, Creator Clash 1 was a successful event, and it was very well liked. There was a brief controversy where Ian refused to allow Sam Hyde to participate in Harley Morenstein's Corner, even though he primarily trained Harley for the event. And when Sam Hyde tried to purchase front row seats to the event, iDubbbz said that he would rather have those seats sit empty and just turn away Sam and his crew from even participating. But the first event was successful, and the rumor was that after that happened, some parent company offered to buy the rights to Creator Clash from Ian for $1 million.
God damn.
But they turned it down.
Because...
So they could put on Creator Clash 2.
Because they wanted to own the IP, and again, it was such a success, it's probably a smart move to own the rights to it. Not just to build something, have it be successful once, and sell it off. But the problem with Creator Clash 2 was that they continued these terrible practices of promotion and
anti-promotion,
everything that would have made it good and made it sell better. The involvement of Froggy Fresh, who was kind of playing up the heel aspect. They didn't like the heel aspect.
The second he tried to do one interesting thing, they shut it down and kicked him out and literally tried to sue him.
Villainize him.
They gave him legal threats for him to pay back the $15,000 in training money that he had spent to train with their personal trainer. And then he later went off to be involved with Sam Hyde and his boxing training, who literally trained someone who was on the first Creator Clash card without incident. Yeah. But that was too much for Anissa and Ian. So Froggy Fresh had to go, and he was supposed to fight Chris Ray-Gun. And instead, they had Chris Ray-Gun fight someone who was 6 inches taller than him.
And blacker
than him. And they were trying to give him CTE as revenge for, I guess, Anissa still having a crush on Chris Ray-Gun.
Oh, yeah.
But
forgot about that.
Anyway, they took the most interesting part of the thing, and they completely shut it down, and they shamed anyone who tried to say that, hey, this was interesting, and maybe Froggy Fresh got treated a little badly here. And, oh, surprise, surprise, the numbers come out, and they lost several $100,000. And the charitable partners, which is the entire virtue signaling, grandstanding reason this thing had to exist, they couldn't even be paid out. So the entire purpose of the event was null and void. They really came out of it as something where they probably should have been sued, but that didn't happen because the statute of limitations expired. And I think they've probably become pretty broke anyway after all this. But
well, so I will say, I mean, so one of the outcomes of Creator Clash 2, at least from my personal involvement, what I recognize from it is just how sensitive Anissa and iDubbbz were to any criticism of the thing. It's like they wanted to control the entire narrative around it and completely did not understand the whole aspect of a fighting event is supposed to be people taking a team I'm on this guy's side. I'm on this guy's side.
Yeah, macho, testosterone. But we're going to have a thing where instead of doing the whole, shtick where the fighters pretend to hate each other so they could get a big payday, we're going to have everyone pretend to say, oh, we love each other and this is just a Reddit wholesome Chungus Keanu event for Redditors and people who want to see a wholesome creator event.
Pull your punches event. That's what this is. And so I got wrapped into this somehow because I thought the whole Froggy Fresh thing, I was like, sometimes I see this internet drama and I'm thinking this has got to be a joke. This has to be a fake fight between influencers because no influencer could be this sensitive and weak and wanting to fight over something that easily would be beneficial if they just utilized it properly.
Trust me, folks, we have our side of the story that we want to tell. We can divulge a little bit here, but I think that would go off far better in a bit more of a professionally produced, edited video. But we will be producing our response, so stay tuned.
So I'm not even going to play the Nisa video then.
You can play it.
All right, well,
I think the people deserve to know what exactly we're fighting for here.
So this was without saying too much. Somehow I got caught up in controversy with Anissa because I was
okay, Rusty, it's important to remember that Creator Clash 2 was in April of 2023.
And this was a year
She
after.
released this video in May of 2024. She's still seething, at least at this point, about the interaction she had with you at the overpriced, expensive, extravagant gala party that she put on instead of spending money on the actual charitable partners.
Yeah, but what hypocrites? I mean, listen, it's January 2025 and here we are.
But it's relevant because we're starting the whole thing over again.
All right, that's right. I will be at Creator Clash 3.
We did karaoke and whatever. There's alcohol there, and close friends are allowed at this party. It's in a hotel. Okay?
We were on the guest list.
And this fucker
I don't want to say
snuck
too much.
in. He was not supposed to get in.
Wise.
The reason why he got in was because he happened to say by accident the name of one of our higher ups and was like, Justin said I could get in, right?
Justin Wang is apparently the higher up at Creator Clash.
They gave him a wristband. So he got in. And I saw on Twitter the day before that he was
hopefully
tweeting,
if he wants to participate.
No.
Shit, right?
If he wants.
He was he was doing that thing where you don't fully commit to
I either want to talk about
but
it,
enough of a fuck.
No,
that,
Rusty, we got to keep edging them. We got to keep edging them.
They're not going to give held a fuck. The sign or something. I think it was he had a Krispy Kreme shirt on or some shit, and he was like, there was a free Froggy Fresh sign that made it to the front of the walkout of Ian's walkout, and he tweeted the picture. No, it wasn't Brandon Buckingham. It was fucking I always call him Rusty
Buckingham.
Spoon, but I think his name's Rusty Cage. He was snuck into the party. Okay,
that's
so
the
Ian
quote,
wasn't
ladies
around,
and gentlemen. Rusty
much
Spoon.
like right now, which is why I'm doing this right now. Ian wasn't around.
Dude, we're keeping Anissa in the intro of the show forever.
I saw him waiting in line for free alcohol, and I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Look, Rusty, she cares
so I fucking walked
about
over
your alcoholism.
There, and bro's little.
She's trying to cut you off.
He's already a small guy, and I had platforms on, so I was real big that day.
Yeah, with platforms on, you dumb bitch.
And I just put my hand on his shoulder, right? I leaned over, and I said, "Hey, man,
is that real? Did she touch you?
Do you want me to tell the story or edge them?
Actually,
we got to keep edging. And, we got to turn this into an actual video, dude.
He was shocked.
We can't give it all away here.
He admits that he.
She leaned over. I was minding my own business, getting a drink. She leaned over. She was probably about 7 foot tall. She leaned over. She put her hand on my shoulder, and then I went like this. Oh! I was shocked, and she said, "Hey, man." Oh, wait, what did she say? I forget what her side of the story was. "Hey, man, that's not cool."
And he even admits this. He admits, actually. "Hey, man, what you did yesterday, really fucking uncool, actually."
I think she actually did say something like that.
He was like, like he was shocked, right?
The spaghetti's falling out of your pockets.
He admits that he apologized to me. He's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. And I was like, no, you meant
being
it.
cordial.
And it was shitty. And I fucking walked
That is not
away.
what I
just
said.
walked away. I was like, whatever, you fucking stay at the party, but I want you to know that I think you're a fucking dick. And it clearly, got to him because he ended up in like some interview later saying that it made him feel like a bitch.
Like, why would you admit that? Okay. Well, that will take some addressing. When is this event? Do we even know?
I don't believe there's a date yet, but I'm sure that now that they're reactivating the accounts, we'll hear from it shortly.
Last I checked, their website said it's about 5 days off from when they kind of open it up, maybe to show more information. So if you go to the link that was on their Twitter, you click on it, it just kind of goes to a landing screen. So I can't wait to see who's going to be on this roster.
Yeah, who's going to want to
Zippy Zoomer and Dr.
Who's going to want to be
Door.
associated with people who already have a reputation of basically defrauding clients?
Okay, well, gang, guess what? We are getting to the end of this show. We've gone through all our clips, but we have some fan art. Not all of it's good, but some of it is good. I've just put all of it up. If you have any fan art, bumpers, or transitions, or anything you want to contribute to this show, send it to submit@cage-tech.com.
That's what Anissa wants. She wants you to submit to her. She's very, a lot of energy and tension in that video.
Yes.
She's really getting off on towering over you.
Yes, with her platform shoes. So this is from Sam Fish. They did some artwork the last time. I think this is very good.
I've got some COVID-safe gloves on for some reason.
Right, I think I'm still Chinese.
I actually do have gloves that go with this outfit, and I was debating on wearing them. Maybe I'll wear them one time and see if anyone actually notices, you know?
Now, they did change your skin tone once again.
Oh,
to
yeah,
something that looks
flesh-washed.
Yeah, you got flesh washed out.
Guys, artists out there, this is a disgusting technique where you're trying to erase my green racial heritage. That evil baddie Donald Trump is trying to take over my home of Greenland.
Now, this seems concerning to me.
Oh.
There appears to be some sort of show canon that is making either like some sort of gay relationship between us or you're gay. I like to think that they're making just you gay.
You see, like...
Someone said that you didn't have your gay hat earlier. That's a man's hat.
Rusty Cage, permission to shoot the infidel who insults the hat of the Marine Corps.
There's no more videos. You can take the headphones off.
Oh, you're right, I can. Guys, all this shipping is, starting to give me a little bit of PTSD.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's go through here. Another Sam Fish. Looks like they did a lot of animation over this.
All right, this one I'm the correct skin color. I don't really know why this couldn't be done the entire time.
Don't touch that dial, folks.
Yeah, but that's pretty cool. They redrew the entire set, probably traced, but it's cool. It's cool to see in that style.
It's like a picture of a screenshot of the set, and they just I don't know what the fuck this is.
This looks like a reference to some show, or like this is like what it would look like if we were on Amazing Digital Circus.
Well, I do forget who did this. Thank you. I didn't have time to add it in. Well, maybe not thank you. I mean, this seems very fucking weird. Here's a fun little drawing. Looks like this
That's
is
a nice
by
picture. You look like the
Clara the fangirl.
You look like the monkey
IG.
pop artist.
Yes, I do. I enjoy this. You should do it. Well, they did another one. I think this is the same person. These are cool. Fun little chibi animations.
Yeah, a little emote.
Well, we have
you and I.
memberships open now on the channel, so I can make something and everyone can reap the benefits of having memberships to this show.
Right, we got to decide any sort of perks for the memberships. Maybe they can watch the unlisted VODs. I'm not sure, but...
Emp, raw opinion, what do you think about this one?
I mean, it's kind of cool. I don't know why I'm like some fursona now, and you're like Beaker from the Muppets.
Now, it's a photo, it's a screenshot, and then they quickly went over it in something like MS Paint. I can't tell. Maybe I just don't get it.
I don't know, folks, but we appreciate the art. It helps to fillet our egos as YouTube content creators to see all of you producing idols of our image, which is against the will of God. But if we see ourselves as God, then that definitely supports our case. So let's go over some of the super chats now, and then we'll.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah, we're about to. I can tell you're about to get up and shut down, and we had like.
I am very sorry.
Hundreds of dollars worth of super chats here. To get through.
Okay. All right, I apologize.
We'll say goodbye. 3.5 goddamn hours.
Damn,
oh my God.
So close to just.
How are we talking this long?
I don't know. Let's see, maybe an hour and a half about, to circle back to DeepSeek.
No, we've already seen these already. Keep going.
Have we?
Keep
the
going.
show would be better with Mumpy as a third host?
Yeah.
Oh.
We literally talked about all this.
Okay. All right.
Going.
It was right about here.
So after the Denmark Crohn's guy.
I think Dizzy asked.
All right.
Sorry. So Dizzy asked. Sorry if it was asked before, but what happened to Trash Rats? Trash Rats was an experimental podcast just to see what would happen, consisting of myself, Reactor, and Mumkey. And it fell apart because there was no cohesion between any of us hosts. Reactor was seemingly more and more busy with his own stuff, working for his brother, Big Rich Tim Pool. No time for the Trash Rat show. And it didn't seem like anyone really wanted to do it. I know everyone, it doesn't matter what show we have. Whenever I was doing Trash Rats, they said, bring back Emp. This should be more like Saudi. Saudi was better. Make this show. It should be more like Trash Rats.
Now I'm
bring
back.
back Reactor. Right. Where's Mumkey at? Make it like the first iteration of something that okay, listen, maybe I can get Mumkey to move down here or something and have him on the show. That would be great. Or have him call in. It would kind of ruin the aesthetics unless I can somehow figure out a monitor over here.
We put him on the TV somehow.
I probably will try to hook up a monitor over here for the guests. I just need to get all the audio set up. So what happened to Trash Rats? It ended like fucking 3 years ago, and people are still DMing me saying, when's the next Trash Rats? What are you talking about?
Floating door with the $10. This is referring to the plus-sized lift patient.
Okay.
He calls her literally the modern Rosa Parks.
Yeah. Bus parking.
But this time she was trying to sit down instead of standing up. All right, AJ with a 5. I would also like to mention that my boyfriend Elliot makes edits of you guys. He's un.cage on TikTok. Absolutely amazing at wait, so there's a bunch of glow up edits of us somewhere on TikTok.
There was an edit someone had sent me, but yeah, I'll check that. I'll check all those and see what copyright rights he is breaking, and then see if I can get his channel getting taken down.
Paul with a bit of breaking news with the $20. He says, airliner collides with military helicopter while landing in Washington, D.C. Estimates 70 passengers on board. Happened 30 minutes ago, so this is... We obviously are...
Let me see.
Only looking at our show notes during the course of the show, so maybe this is a...
Let me check.
Bit of live, brand new news reaction
airliner
right here on the show.
Collides with military helicopter. Okay.
Well, hopefully it's not another Boeing malfunction. What the hell? So there's like a military vehicle that's for some reason in just the airspace right next to the commercial airport.
Let me try to get this framed up for them. Okay, let's see what CNN has to say.
Damn, so if it's 70 people dead, that might be the biggest air disaster on U.S. soil since 9/11, wouldn't it be?
70 people dead? The fuck?
I mean, this is actually what partially related to the video we're working on about skydiving, but if it collided mid-air, there's going to be like no survivors.
Is this a live preview? All right.
It seems to not be working.
Yeah, what we know now.
So a passenger aircraft carrying 64 people collided midair with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter near Reagan National Airport outside of Washington, D.C. as it approached the runway, according to the Federal Aviation Administration and defense officials. Fatalities have been confirmed and rescuers have not yet pulled any survivors from the water. So this was over water, but it happened midair, so I'm guessing people fell into the water, which above 100 or so feet is unsurvivable.
Outside of Washington, D.C. And then also the fact that this is... All right, go ahead.
The plane, American Airlines Flight 5342, with 60 passengers and 4 crew members, had departed from Wichita, Kansas. 3 soldiers were on board the helicopter, which was in a training flight. All takeoffs and landings have been halted at the airport.
So that's a huge oversight by...
Pretty big news story. Yeah, live on the show here.
Yeah, by air traffic controllers, since this is a military craft.
Yeah, so this is one of the first live news reactions you guys are going to see on the show here. What are people saying about it on Twitter?
Probably nothing at the moment. How long ago was that? At this point,
it was a couple hours ago. It's going to be the number. It's going to be the #1 story. This is huge. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think wouldn't this be the deadliest aviation accident on U.S. soil since 9/11?
Well, 60 people? Well, Justin Wang says, why is Aiden Ross jacking off Vivek Ramaswamy?
Okay, well, you got to get off your stupid ass fucking regular normie feed.
What, for you? What am I supposed to look up?
No, we're looking up details of the accident for people. Just use the search and look up the airline collision.
Should just go to...
Oh, and Markiplier and H3H3 are feuding. Talk about the #1 news of the day.
Okay.
Like, does anyone have a video of the accident? I'm wondering.
Is it? It's blue.
Holy shit!
Oh,
okay, dude, there's no survivors.
Oh my god!
Wait, I missed it.
Look in the upper left corner.
Holy shit!
What happened? Oh my god! Oh my god!
Dude.
Is it? It's blue.
Oh,
what
dude,
happened?
this is what I'm saying. That's why I don't want to fucking fly.
Dude, airline stocks are gonna be crumbling tomorrow. This is just incident after incident in air travel now. People are legitimately gonna start to be afraid to fly. After 9/11, there was so much pressure to make air travel safe and to give people the sense of safety. And for about 20 years, they had a good track record. But recently, after all this Boeing fallout and just very frequent seeming accidents all around the world, and now here on U.S. soil.
Look, there's another one.
This is going to legitimately, I think, impact people's willingness to fly in the near future.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more plane crashes, even domestic, than you might realize. At least coming from or going to, but yeah, this is right over Washington, D.C. Dang.
Holy shit. Yeah, that's unsurvivable.
Yeah.
There's going to be no survivors. They look like they're probably 200-300 feet in the air at least. It's hard to tell from this. It could be like 1,000, 2,000 feet up. But
yeah, that's hitting a pretty big bird. I mean, Sully might have been able to land the plane, but
oh yeah,
this is a Black Hawk.
We need the Hero on the Hudson.
Right.
Guys, this is what I'm saying. 2025, and people are always like, "Oh, I can't believe this thing happened." And I'm someone who makes fun of these people being like every news thing that happens. It's like, I didn't have that on my bingo card. I swear, this year has been extraordinary in terms of the number of inauspicious events going on. And...
Right, is there anything else? Should we keep going on this? Let's check some of these other videos.
I think that takes care of it.
I know we just watched this one. I want to skim through these. All right.
God damn. I'm telling you, the paranoia with flying is going to be so much worse now.
No, I'm telling you, I would not trust. They need a good...
This is something everyone thinks about the second they board an airplane.
Yeah,
and you keep it in the back of your head, but you tell yourself, oh, well, the rates of accidents are so low. But it just keeps happening. These accidents keep happening. There's the one in Kazakhstan, the one in Korea.
Sure. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, the Korean airline that hit a fucking wall.
Now, it looks like this has nothing to do with any sort of defect, so maybe Boeing's out of the water on this one. But still...
Yeah, something's going on.
Obviously, it's like a freak accident, but...
All right.
What's going on at the FAA? Or was the Black Hawk on some kind of secret mission, but just happened to be right in the airspace where a bunch of planes are taking off? How could I have no idea how could this could possibly be explained or excused?
Maybe it was a drone.
Oh, they said it was a Black Hawk helicopter.
They said. The official story. Okay, well, maybe shenanigans are being perpetrated. We'll have to follow up on that story.
Thank you, Paul, for the update.
Yes, thank you, Paul.
Salty Shackle with the $2 Australian. Did you actually have a boxing match with Mumkey?
Yes, I did, and unfortunately, the footage got deleted on accident by that guy. But I won, so that's the main takeaway from that.
Meta Not One with the $5. My friend Chris Matwiff, R.I.P. December 11th, 2024. Turned me on to your channel and your works. He was my best friend. Sorry for your loss. Hopefully this super chat could be a good tribute for him. Make sure he's publicly remembered.
If he was a fan of mine, he sounds like he was a fucking loser. But thank you anyways.
Pollock with the $10. I bet Lindsey Graham is creaming himself with the news of DeepSeek. We have to go to war. We can't let them have the Taiwan. We can't let them have the AI. We need more immigrants from China. Well, maybe some of those things will end up happening, but the DeepSeek news does not bode well for U.S. Staying out of Chinese affairs.
Can we go back? I feel bad about what I just said there. Let's just read this one again. So, Met Not One, my friend Chris Matwell, R.I.P. 2024, December 11th, turned me on to your channel and works. He was my best friend. I'm very sorry to hear about the loss of your friend. We're going to go ahead and give him 5 booms.
Boom! 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 Boom!
Rest in peace, Chris.
Lord Skinless with a $4.99. Yo, Rusty, have you ever seen the movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? I just rewatched it and it reminded me of you.
Is it because he's super fucked up all the time? I don't know. I mean, yeah, I've definitely seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I forget who directed that.
I have not seen that yet, but it's on my list.
It's like a surreal one.
It has the fucked up looking movie poster. It's cool and trippy.
Yeah, I've been meaning to read those books.
Pumpkin Dreams with the $5. Nisa Horwife might have her ears and sniffers dialed to 11 at Creator Clash 3 if you decide to go. We're going to attempt to construct a Trojan horse and literally be brought in to the event.
We're going to have to think of some things. I'm sorry, what do you say? Might have to have her ears and sniffers dialed to 11 at CC3. We're going to figure out something. I don't want to sabotage this great event. I just want to watch it and hang out with my friends. That's all I've ever wanted to do.
Well, I'm not going to pay to go to another one of these events, but if people are in town, I'll hang out with them. Well, that looks like everything for the day.
Well, Emp, I really hate to do this to you, but can we continue giving some booms to the 60-ish people that died? on that airplane crashing into the military helicopter.
60 salutes?
Yes. 60 booms.
64 technically if you include the soldiers.
Oh yeah, if you want to do salutes, we can do salutes. It's up to you at this point.
All right, 64 salutes for the fallen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, and one more for the friend who passed away sadly.